The Throne of the Mechas. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101 Military Academy Courses. The following afternoon, several people were busy sitting in front of the computer and selecting courses. The curriculum of the entire Imperial Military Command Academy is very peculiar. The students are divided into 3 categories: junior, intermediate, and senior. The curriculum is very closely related to actual combat exercises. Junior students are divided into only 2 departments: the Campaign Tactical Command Department and the Mecha Maintenance and Design Department. These 2 departments have the following common compulsory courses: Basic Military Literacy, Mecha Driving and Combat, Imperial Military History, Battlefield First Aid, Primary Mecha Maintenance and Troubleshooting, Imperial Constitution and Military Law, Logistics, Introduction to Military Management, Overview of Alien Life and other subjects. The compulsory courses of the Campaign Tactical Command Department are Military Psychology, Ancient Military History, Primary Fleet Command, Tactical Command, Campaign Command, Information Technology and Communications, War and Public Opinion Control, Military Surveying and Mapping, Primary Military Strategic and Tactical Simulation, Intelligence, Modern Military Management, National Defense Economics and other subjects. The required courses for the Mecha Maintenance and Design major include a brief history of Mecha development and design, Mecha operating system programming, intermediate Mecha maintenance and troubleshooting, introduction to Mecha maintenance, introduction to Mecha weapon systems, introduction to Mecha power systems, introduction to Mecha control systems, materials science, Mecha design principles, Mecha modification examples, Mecha repair tools, Galactic Mecha overview, latest Mecha technology applications and other courses. In addition, the Imperial Military Command College has also prepared dozens of elective courses for students, such as financial science, administrative management, forensic medicine, economics, intermediate battlefield first aid, and mixed martial arts. Don't underestimate these elective courses. The college has hired the most well-known scholars in various fields in the galaxy to teach. After all, future wars in the military will need a large number of compound talents. In addition to the basic military literacy of these courses at the Imperial Military Command College, all students are trained together. For other courses, students can freely choose the class time. All courses in the school are taught in a cycle, and all the content is taught in a few months, and then they start again. Students can freely choose courses according to their own time. After completing the course, you can immediately sign up for the semi-annual exam. Of course, the school has strict requirements for students' academic performance. For example, students in the Mecha Maintenance Department must complete all required courses within 3 years, and then must pass the Junior Mecha Maintenance Technician Qualification exam, so that they are eligible to continue to stay in the military academy. Those who fail to pass the level exam and complete enough credits will be issued a certificate of completion and expelled from the school. Those who continue to stay in school are not easy either. From this time on, they have to bear the high tuition fees personally. They can only get a graduation certificate when they pass the intermediate Mecha Maintenance Technician level exam. As for students in the Campaign and Tactical Command Department, they must complete all required courses and pass the exam within 3 years. Those who do not meet the standards will also be expelled. When students pass all exams and obtain the Junior Student Graduation Certificate, they are eligible to sign up for the Intermediate Student Exam. Of course, some outstanding students are eligible for recommendation without examination. The professional settings of intermediate students have begun to be subdivided. For example, there are dozens of different majors such as Battleship Command, Advanced Mecha Maintenance, Mecha Design, Advanced Mecha Combat, Military History Research, etc. The school system for these majors is 2 years, and there are also corresponding assessment standards. Finally, there are the senior students in the military academy. Most of the subjects they study are confidential. The school system is very short, only 1 year. The students are mainly senior generals with outstanding military achievements. In addition to choosing his own required courses, Xia Xingchen also took all the required courses of the mecha maintenance and design major as his elective subjects. In addition, he also chose very practical subjects such as mixed martial arts, thick black studies, and conspiracy theory. Although it seems that the coursework is heavy, he has the inside skill, a big cheat, so these things are not difficult for him. Li Xiaomin's choice is similar to Xia Xingchen. He also chose all the courses of the mecha maintenance and design major, but he really doesn't have the energy to choose other courses. Hans Grandit chose a bunch of courses such as financial science, galactic economic law, interstellar consortium management, marketing, and consumer psychology in addition to the required courses. It turns out that this guy actually regards the military academy as a business school. Dairen's elective courses include cosmetology, media studies, poison research, and criminal investigation. These are all very niche, but very practical courses. In the evening, several people came to the 1524 Mecha Club. Today, Berry and his men repaired 2 mechas and maintained 6 mechas with an operating income of 2.2 million star coins. There are still 8 mechas waiting for repair in the hangar and on the mecha repair operation table. Xia Xingchen explored and found that 2 mechas had minor faults, so he handed them over to 2 maintenance apprentices. Then he did it himself, and it only took him 4 hours to repair all the remaining mechas and wait for the money. A preliminary calculation showed that these mechas could bring in more than 4 million in revenue, plus the 2.2 million star coins during the day, and after deducting the cost, the net profit actually reached more than 5 million. Xia Xingchen was shocked that the store's net profit in one day was more than his 3-year allowance. Chapter 102 Instructor Crystal. The next morning, Xia Xingchen and Dairen completed Kinren's special training and came to the designated training ground. Here, the freshmen will receive a 3-month, 4-hour military training every day, which is part of the basic military literacy course. Since the ranks of the new students vary greatly, there are recruits and even captains. The school divides the students into groups of 30 according to their ranks, and arranges an instructor of the corresponding rank to train them, so as to avoid the phenomenon that the students do not respect the instructors and do not obey the command. Xia Xingchen and Dairen are both lieutenants, and they were arranged to be trained at the 58th training ground. The instructor assigned to Xia Xingchen and Dairen's group is a bald man, with muscles all over his body that make his military uniform bulge, and 2 red electronic eyes give people a weird and fierce feeling. For a long time, the success rate of cloning and repairing technology of human eye tissue has been very low, and it is very expensive, so many soldiers with eye injuries simply choose electronic eyes. Because the performance of the electronic eye is almost the same as that of a real eyeball, and it also has night vision, telescopes, microscopes, scanning, information transmission and other functions, and can also be directly connected to the weapon system as a targeting device. Soldiers, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Christo, from the 1st Squadron of the 7th Fleet of the Galactic Empire, the Columbus Mecha Airborne Corps. The bald instructor introduced himself, and all the students were in awe. Emperor Kan Wu sent a large army to explore the Death Star region, but suffered heavy losses. But this still did not extinguish the great dictator's passion for expanding territory. He set about forming the 7th Fleet of the Galactic Empire. The function of this fleet is to explore and occupy unknown planets that are not controlled by humans. The most famous of the 7th Fleet is the Columbus Mecha Airborne Corps of the 1st Squadron. This unit is the elite of the elite and has been fighting on the front line. This unit has made great achievements in battle, but the loss rate is very high, with an average loss rate of 30% per year. Those who can serve in this unit for many years and survive to this day are definitely the strongest among the strong. The academy appointed me as your instructor. This is your luck, but also your disaster. You are lucky, because after my training, you can live longer on the battlefield, but the premise is that you have to experience what hell is in advance. I will train you to the point where you would rather die than live. Also, don't think about using connections to get away with it. I will never make any compromises on grades. Even if the principal comes to intercede, it will be useless. If you can't meet my requirements, you can forget about graduating. Many students showed frustrated and painful expressions on their faces. They just came here to gild themselves, but who knew they would be tortured like this? At this time, a student shouted loudly, "Report to the commander, we are all officers, and have undergone strict military training. I don't think it is necessary to be so strict, right, officer?" This is the biggest joke I have ever heard in my life. Among the 30 of you, no more than 5 have actually participated in the battlefield. If it weren't for your family, most of you would not be qualified to stand here, and some of you are not even as good as ordinary soldiers. You rubbish will definitely be hit hard by the opponent on the battlefield. It doesn't matter if you die, but you will drag down the innocent soldiers under your command. Officer, before you pass my training, you are all pigs and dogs. Lieutenant Colonel Christo scolded these students loudly, and then he pointed at the student who had just spoken. "You, after the training, run 10 laps around the training ground. This huge training ground is comparable to the scale of the quicksand base. 1 lap is 5 kilometers, and 10 laps is 50 kilometers. The student was so scared that he almost fainted. Lieutenant Colonel Christo continued, "Of course, there are some capable guys among you. In order not to waste time, I can give each of you an opportunity to take the assessment before the start of each individual subject training. If you pass the assessment and meet my requirements, you don't have to participate in the training of this subject." Xia Xingchen's eyes lit up because he really didn't want to waste so much time here every day. He still had a lot to learn. Today we start the training of subject 1, 30 kilometers of cross country with loads. Project requirements: soldiers carry 30 kilograms of equipment and conduct 30 kilometers of cross country. The passing standard is 90 minutes. Many students' faces turned green after hearing this. This speed is difficult for humans to run on a flat road in such a short time, even if their bodies have been strengthened by mental strength, not to mention carrying 30 kilograms and running over obstacles. They can imagine how miserable the future days will be. I said that each of you has 1 chance to take the test. How about it? Do you want to give it a try? But let me explain in advance that the criteria for taking the test will be stricter, and you need to carry a weight of 50 kilograms. And if you fail the test, you will be punished by running 10 laps after today's training. Christo laughed in his heart, but his face was expressionless. Several students were eager to try, but they all shrank back when they heard this additional condition. If an ordinary person with an unstrengthened body walked 30 kilometers with a weight of 50 kilograms, the spine would almost break. Not to mention running at high speed and climbing over obstacles. Why, no one dares to challenge. It seems that I was right. You are just a bunch of cowards, ha ha ha. Christo laughed. Chapter 103 Cross Country Test. Report to the commander, I'm willing to try. A young Caucasian officer stepped out. Xia Xingchen's pupils constricted. The man's armband was from the Northern Fleet. The students of the Imperial Military Command Academy have 2 armbands on their uniforms. On the left arm is the armband of the students of the academy, and on the right arm is the armband of the students' original unit. Pantsev is a lieutenant in the Mechanized Special Warfare Battalion of the Siberian Star Region Garrison Fleet under the Northern Fleet. He is 23 years old and a D-class Mecha division. His father is the commander of the Siberian Star Region Garrison Fleet with the rank of Lieutenant General. Like Andrei, Pantsev joined the army at a very young age and often participated in secret operations. He is a newcomer in the Northern Fleet. He and Andrei are both comrades in arms and competitors. A few months ago, Nicholas authorized the establishment of a new Mecha Special Warfare Battalion, which is composed of outstanding young Mecha divisions selected from various units. Among them, the D-class Mecha division is the lowest threshold. This unit will be equipped with the latest Mechas and participate in various battles. In the future, it will become another sharp knife of the Northern Fleet. Pantsev originally thought that according to his strength and his father's connections, the position of commander of the Mecha Special Warfare Brigade was a sure thing for him. As a result, Andrei was airdropped from above. What's more, Andrei was not even a D-class Mecha division, but he was appointed as the brigade commander. Pantsev was very unbalanced. He thought that Andrei relied entirely on nepotism to get to the top. So Pantsev withdrew from the team in anger and went to the Imperial Military Command Academy for further studies through his father's relationship. He also accepted the task of the Northern Military Intelligence Department. to win over the students of the Military Command Academy to join the Northern Army. However, before their actions were fully launched, they encountered a head-on blow from Marshal von Bismarck. Pantsev and others quickly held a secret meeting to make arrangements. As Xia Xingchen guessed, they were going to show their muscles now. Report to the instructor, I also want to take the assessment. Xia Xingchen stepped forward and saluted. He didn't want the conspiracy of the people from the north to succeed. Okay. Lieutenant Colonel Christo shouted, you two follow me, and the rest of you listen to my orders. Run 10 laps around the training ground, and then gather again. Yes, sir. Colonel Christo led the two to the cross-country training ground. Along the way, Pantsev and Xia Xingchen looked at each other. From the 3rd Fleet, Pantsev looked at Xia Xingchen's armband and thought to himself, this 3rd Fleet doesn't get along well with the Northern Fleet. Andre lost the level test to a soldier from the 3rd Fleet, and the secret training base of the Watchstars Mecha Division was also destroyed by the 3rd Fleet. At present, the shadow of the 3rd Fleet can be seen in the collisions at all other levels. I will definitely not lose to this kid, he thought to himself. Then, he remembered that 7 or 8 years ago, in the snow-covered forest of the cold Siberian star, hundreds of children were only wearing shorts, carrying heavy rifles and ammunition on their backs, and running non-stop. They had to maintain a high intensity of exercise, to maintain their body temperature, and not be frozen to death. During this period, many children fell and were injured, but no one stopped, and no one pitied them. It would take 2 hours for the rescue mecha to come and take away the thin corpses on the ground. Many children did not even wait for the opportunity to collect their bodies, and they became the delicious meals of the ice wolves. While running, Pantsev looked at the thin figure with golden hair in front of him. At this time, the figure seemed to have turned into a wolf king, leading the wolf pack to run non-stop. I don't accept it. I also want to be the wolf king. Andre, you wait. I will defeat you. Xia Xingchen was also looking at this tall and burly northern soldier at this time. He exuded a cruel and cold breath, which he had also felt on Andre, and it was the breath of a wolf. Finally, they arrived at the cross-country venue. At the starting point, the two began to add equipment to their bodies, including individual laser rifles, military backpacks, as well as grenades, mines, energy blocks and other supplies, which totaled 50 kilograms. At the command of Lieutenant Colonel Christo, the two rushed out at the same time. Although the two people ran the same route, they had completely different rhythms. Pansifu had good endurance, and was always moving at a constant speed, like a wolf. When the road was flat, he would run at a very fast speed, and when he crossed the obstacles, his movements were meticulous, and without any drag. Xia Xingchen ran very lightly on the flat road, and it seemed that he did not use his full strength. Once he reached the obstacle, he would use movements that seemed very non-standard to ordinary people to quickly pass the obstacle. Christo knew very well that, although Xia Xingchen's movements to cross obstacles were not the most standard, they were the fastest and most effective. Even some 2 or 3 meter trenches, Xia Xingchen jumped over with a leap, as if the weight on his body did not exist. After 20 kilometers, Xia Xingchen was already several dozen meters ahead of Pan Keifu. At this time, Pan Keifu's physical fitness had declined, and his speed had slowed down a little. Although he also practiced martial arts, his martial arts was the Kangalangju, which was very popular in the Northern Army. This martial arts was an external martial arts that instantly improved explosive power and resistance to blows, and it could not improve physical fitness in essence like the fetal breathing technique that Xia Xingchen learned. At this time, Xia Xingchen's internal ki and blood began to flow, and some of the movements in the 36 tiger styles were also used by him instinctively. As a result, Xia Xingchen ran faster and faster, and disappeared after a few turns. Pan Keifu was very anxious, and could not help but speed up his feet, but it disrupted his own rhythm, so that his speed was more affected. When he ran to the finish line, Xia Xingchen was already waiting there. More than 2 hours later, the trainees who were running around the training ground finally reached the assembly point. At this time, 4 trainees had fainted, and were sent to the emergency room, leaving only about 20 people. A bunch of people were lying or sitting on the ground, panting and sweating. Get up, all of you, get up. You are not allowed to sit or lie down. Stand up, adjust your breathing, massage your legs. Lying down at this time will waste all your efforts and hurt your body. Christo shouted. But only a small number of trainees stood up obediently, and the rest were still lying on the ground pretending to be dead. Lieutenant Colonel Christo showed a cruel sneer on his face. He took out an electric shotgun and adjusted the power output to the lowest level. This amount of current would not make people faint, but it would be extremely painful and give people a needle-like feeling. He pulled the trigger and hit the trainee who was sitting closest to him. Ah! With a scream, the student jumped up from the ground. Christus fired continuously. After a scream, everyone stood up. Look, you bunch of losers, do you still want to graduate from me? It's not that you can't do it, but the laziness in your bones has affected your progress. It seems that violence is more effective. The students were silent after hearing this, and each of them greeted the female members of Christus' family in their hearts. Chapter 104 Encounter. Lieutenant Colonel Christo looked at the data sent from his personal terminal to his electronic eyes and said, "Now I will announce the results of this assessment. 30 kilometers, 50 kilograms of weight, cross-country running results. Pantsev, 88 minutes and 21 seconds, passed the assessment." But the crowd suddenly exploded, and everyone was whispering, "Wow, so strong. Is this the strength of the North? He must be the strongest in our group." Lieutenant Colonel Christo frowned, and the students below shut up one by one. He continued to read out the results. Xia Xingchen, 79 minutes and 56 seconds, passed the assessment. These two students do not need to attend this month's courses. It seems that the Imperial Army is still stronger than the local warlords, the Third Fleet, Hidden Dragons and Crouching Tigers. What is the background of this Xia Xingchen? Pantsev looked at Xia Xingchen with resentment. He couldn't figure out why he lost. Is it really true that there are people beyond the sky? He suddenly understood Henri's experience of being eliminated in the D-level Mecha Master exam. Xia Xingchen went to 2 courses in the afternoon. Then, as usual, he went to the 1524 Mecha Club to repair the Mecha. The income for the day was still very generous, and the hangar was full. There were still a few customers waiting in line. The new hangar behind the store had begun to break ground. At this time, Hans Grandad sent a video call. The video screen came from the other end of the screen. It was Hans's fat face with freckles. He turned the camera around, and Xia Xingchen saw Xiaomin and Aren lying on the sofa like dead dogs. "Xingchen, please take care of the store. We are all exhausted." He didn't even have the strength to speak. Xia Xingchen smiled and nodded. He had learned about the miserable situation of other roommates, which was similar to his, but most of the instructors asked the students to complete it within 100 minutes. It seems that Lieutenant Colonel Christo has increased the pressure for them. This also shows the difference of the Imperial Military Command Academy. It seems that the management is very loose, but it is very strict in assessment. This forms a strict supervision of the students from another aspect, and for those capable students, this management method can also effectively save time. Xia Xingchen attended classes for several days in a row, and found that many subjects were rote learning, or knowledge he had already mastered, especially the elementary mecha maintenance courses. The theoretical level of those senior mecha maintenance technicians was far behind that of Father Free, so he integrated the selected courses and only attended those courses that he had not covered or needed detailed explanations from the teacher. That afternoon, his roommates all went to class. He found that there were no courses that interested him today. Suddenly, he remembered that Daren had introduced that the library of the Imperial Military Command Academy was very famous. There were a large number of books and various technical materials there. It was a good place to kill time and learn knowledge. Xia Xingchen left the dormitory, boarded the maglev shuttle bus, and went straight to the library. The library of the Imperial Military Command Academy covers an area of 4 stadiums, and is a giant building with more than 10 floors. This library can accommodate more than 100,000 students reading in the library at the same time. Every student who enters the library to read can get a free e-reader after registering with an ID card. Readers can select the books they want to read on the reader. Many of these books are confidential and can only be read within the library by using a reader. There is a huge 3-story underground library in the basement of the library, where many paper books are stored. If readers need them, they can pay online through the reader. After more than 10 minutes, a robot will deliver the books to the reader holder. The annual operating expenses of such a library are astronomical. In order to ease the financial pressure, the school has also added many charging items in the library. For example, you can choose to read in the public reading room, or pay to go to a private room. The private room has sofas, reclining chairs, and a large display screen that can project the contents of the reader. If you want to drink something while reading, you can order a drink through the reader. Xia Xingchen wandered around the library with curiosity, and everything in front of him was so novel. "Master Xia, are you here too?" At this time, a pleasant voice behind him called Xia Xingchen. He looked back, and saw that it was Li Qiuru. "Oh, it's Sister Qiuru. Don't call me Master Xia. I'm just an ordinary person, and your brother's classmate. Just call me Xingchen." Xia Xingchen replied politely. "Are you here to read books in the library?" Li Qiuru asked curiously, when she saw him holding a reader. "Yes, it's my first time here, and I don't know where to read books, so I'll just walk around." "Well, Xingchen, I've booked a private room here. Come to my room. It's very big and quiet. Besides, the 2 mechas I designed have been completed. I just want you to help me take a look, and give me some suggestions." Li Qiuru invited enthusiastically, and her face turned red. "Well, okay." Xia Xingchen also wanted to go to the private room to see it, so she agreed to go together. The two took the elevator, and went directly to the top floor and the rooftop. The rooftop of the entire library is a large glass greenhouse, where various plants are planted. The air is very fresh, and the sun shines through the plexiglass and warms the body. The advanced ventilation system and air conditioning system make the whole room not very hot. After entering the private room, Li Qiuru asked, "Xingchen, what would you like to drink?" "I'll drink anything," Xingchen replied. Li Qiuru nodded. Not long after, a service robot brought 2 cups and a pot of tea. Li Qiuru connected the data storage device to the monitor, and discussed the mecha design drawings with Xia Xingchen. Xia Xingchen was very amazed at Li Qiuru's attainments in mecha appearance design. He had never been exposed to art, aesthetics and other things. He was a thorough pragmatist, but he had to admit that these mecha designs were very beautiful and attractive. After carefully reading the drawings, he made many suggestions to Li Qiuru's design plan, how to maximize the performance of the mecha, while keeping the existing appearance unchanged, and explained these design principles to her in detail. Li Qiuru held her chin, and listened to his explanation carefully, with admiration in her eyes. She remembered the bold words she said in front of her brothers and parents, when she was a child. "I want to marry the best mecha designer." Thinking of this, her face blushed. Good times always pass quickly, and in the blink of an eye, it was dark. Xia Xingchen hurriedly said goodbye, and rushed to the mecha repair shop. Chapter 105, The Love of Parents. In a villa on Chang'an Star in the western administrative area of the Galactic Empire, a tall and pretty woman suddenly opened the door, and rushed into a study. The woman was almost 50 years old, but she was well maintained and looked like she was in her early 30s. She was Hu Qiushu, the mother of Li Xiaomin and Li Qiuru. She was also the executive vice president of Tang Dynasty Group. "Oh, husband, something happened. Something big happened," Hu Qiushu shouted. The man in the study was the president of Tang Dynasty Group, Li Zenglang. He raised his head. "How many times have I told you not to panic? What's wrong?" "A civil war broke out. Even a war is a good thing for us." Li Zenglang was interrupted, and was very dissatisfied. "Oh, our little princess is in love, and your baby daughter is about to be abducted by another man. How did you know? Did the third brother tell you?" Li Zenglang asked. "That bastard only has mechas in his mind. He doesn't care about these things. It's good that he didn't sell his sister. We only have this one precious daughter. How can I feel at ease if she goes out to study alone? I just arranged a lot of people to accompany her to study and keep an eye on our precious daughter." Hu Qiushu was a little nervous. "Then tell me in detail, what happened?" Although he was worried, Li Zenglang was the first to calm down. My informant reported that our QIUI stayed alone with a boy in a closed room for 5 or 6 hours a few hours ago. They looked very intimate before and after entering the room, and after our daughter came out, her face was red and she looked like a fangirl. Hu Qiushu said nervously. This? Li Zhenglong hesitated. This man, who was usually powerful and decisive in the business world, was hesitant about the issue of his precious daughter's lifelong event. He then asked, who is the boy with Xia? That man is Xia Xingchen, also a freshman this year. He is a lieutenant. It is said that he opened a mecha repair shop with others. Xia also works in that shop. Don't you think she is just fooling around? Is her family short of food or clothes? Could it be that this man is abusing his power for personal gain? Hu Qiushu said decisively. That's all? What's the situation at his home? Li Zhenglong asked. Don't you know that military files are confidential? He hasn't told anyone about it. I suspect that he has evil intentions towards our Xia and has intentions towards our family. Also, he seems to be roommates with our third child. Then just ask the third child and you will know, Li Zhenglong said, and dialed the interstellar communication equipment. At this time, Li Xiaomin was sleeping like a dead dog. The high-intensity cross-country training in the past few days has drained his physical energy. At this time, let alone dreaming of mecha design inspiration, he lost consciousness as soon as his head touched the pillow. Ding ding. The personal terminal screamed for dozens of minutes before it was finally connected. Why did you connect so late? Li Zhenglong looked a little unhappy. Father Li Xiaomin was helpless. Did you forget about the time difference? Different planets and even different regions of each planet have time differences. Li Zhenglong was too concerned about his daughter and forgot about it. Let me ask you, your sister is in love. Do you know about it? Li Zhenglong asked seriously. What? QIUI is in love? Li Xiaomin jumped up from the bed. Don't be funny, father, this is impossible. This week, our school has physical training in the morning and classes in the afternoon. Every night QIUI and I design mechas together. How could she be in love? There is no time for this. Besides, I don't know about such things. How do you know? Oh, I understand. It must be my gossipy mother who has been spying on us. Hu Qiushu heard it, and the veins on his head jumped. Your sister was alone with a man in the room for 5 or 6 hours this afternoon. Don't you know? Li Zhenglong asked. Really? My sister has the same bad temper as my mother. She doesn't even look at men straight in the eye. How is that possible? Li Xiaomin, you're dead. You won't get any pocket money this year. The mother, who was known for her bad temper and gossip, finally exploded. Li Xiaomin secretly said bitterly in his heart, his wallet was going to suffer this time. As far as I know, the boy your sister is with is called Xia Xingchen. He is your roommate, right? What's he like? What's his background? Li Zhenglong continued to ask. Xingchen? That's possible. My sister admires him very much. My roommate is a very nice person and very good. He is a 17-year-old senior mecha maintenance technician. There is no such person in our Tang Dynasty group. He has been on the battlefield and his martial arts skills are very high. It would be a good choice for my sister to date him. However, he hesitated. But what? Li Xiaomin, tell me quickly. Hu Qiushu was anxious. QIUI told me not long ago that she modified the mecha design plan in the afternoon. I analyzed that the two of them should be discussing the mecha design plan. In addition, Xingchen is excellent in all aspects, but as far as I know, he has a blood feud with Prince Nicholas. According to this situation, he will definitely go to the battlefield in a few years. As a mecha master, it is very common to sacrifice on the battlefield. By then, I'm afraid that my sister cannot accept it, Li Xiaomin explained. Li Zhenglong and his wife both fell into deep silence. So, as a brother, what is your suggestion? Li Zhenglong asked solemnly. Li Xiaomin thought about it seriously and said, although my sister has never been in love, she is not a fool. At her age, she has the right to pursue her own love. No one can tell what will happen in the future. Besides, Xia Xingchen is not a bad person, nor is he the kind of person with ambitions. I think it is best to let nature take its course. Li Zhenglong nodded and cut off the communication. Seeing Hu Qiushu was silent, he asked, dear, what are you thinking about? I'm thinking back to the past. I was a young idol star with unlimited glory, and you were a poor boy who concealed your identity. At that time, everyone was not optimistic about you, but I still married you without hesitation. If I had listened to my parents' arrangements at that time, maybe I would be the wife or lover of a mayor on some planet now. Kyushu recalled every detail of the past. So, I decided to give my daughter the right to choose. Even if she took the wrong path, it was her own choice. If we really interfere in emotional matters, the children will hate us for the rest of their lives. Li Zenglan nodded. I think so too. I will tell the third son to take better care of his sister. Husband, I want to go to Xia Star to see my son and daughter, and by the way, inspect the future son-in-law. What do you think? Kyushu suggested. I also want to go see them, but if we go directly there, it will cause trouble for them. I think we should organize a mecha combat competition with the military command college. How about we go there together then? Kyushu gave him a sweet kiss. Thank you, husband. Chapter 106 Successful Mecha Design. After the mecha repair class the next afternoon, Li Xiaomin found his sister. QIUI, I heard that you were alone with Xingchen yesterday, and stayed there for the whole afternoon. Li Qiru glared. What does this have to do with you? Besides, you actually hired someone to follow me. It's unfair. It was my mother who told me. I tell you, she must have been ambushing around us a lot. Li Xiaomin looked around and said mysteriously. Li Qiru gave him a big eye roll. It's like this. What do you think of Xingchen? My parents and I have the same attitude. If you date Xingchen, we don't object. Oh, stinky brother, I'm going to die. Brother Xingchen and I are just ordinary friends. What are you thinking? Li Qiru said shyly, with a shy little girl's face. Oh, brother Xingchen, you call me so kindly. I understand. Ordinary friends apostrophe Li Xiaomin said in a deep voice. Get out. A thick textbook fell on his head. Xia Xingchen had just climbed down from the last repaired mecha. It was already late at night, and suddenly Li Xiaomin came out from a corner, which scared him. Xiaomin, why haven't you gone home yet? Aren't you tired? Xingchen, I heard that you were with my sister yesterday afternoon. Yes, we met in the library, so we discussed her mecha design plan together. Is that so? Xingchen, what do you think of my sister QIUI? Li Xiaomin asked. She is very talented. Her talent in mecha design is amazing, especially her ability to organically combine mecha design with art. It's great. She is a genius designer. Xia Xingchen did not hesitate to praise her. Well, Xingchen, I'm not talking about mecha design. I'm asking what you think of her as a person. Li Xiaomin explained awkwardly. She is very beautiful, smart, polite, and an excellent girl, Xia Xingchen said. Then how about letting her be your girlfriend? I think you two are really a good match. My sister never talks to other boys. You can see that she doesn't reject you. She likes you very much. Li Xiaomin's words made Xia Xingchen completely silent. After a while, he smiled bitterly and said, I may have let QIUI down. Xiaomin, I told you about my experience. In the last battle of Watchstar, I lost my beloved girlfriend Freya. My most important goal now is to avenge her. Before this goal is achieved, there is no room for any other woman in my heart. What's more, I will go to the battlefield and may die at any time. So, for QIUI, I can only treat her as a sister. That's all. Alas, Li Xiaomin sighed. The problem is that she doesn't just want to be a sister. 2 weeks later, the Tang Dynasty Group's mecha parts factory located in Xianwei 8 delivered the modified mecha basic parts to the 1524 Mecha Club. The mecha modification industry requires a lot of equipment, and many parts are almost reproduced, which is not something that ordinary mecha repair and modification shops can afford. Therefore, most mecha modification shops send the drawings to mecha manufacturers or factories that specialize in manufacturing these parts for processing or production. Among the 9 satellites of Xian Star, Xianwei 8 is a factory satellite that specializes in the production of mecha parts. Here, major mecha manufacturers have parts production workshops, and there are thousands of large and small mecha parts manufacturers on this planet. Originally, a small factory like this would take at least 1 or 2 months from uploading the parts drawings to the parts leaving the factory, but unfortunately this was an order placed by the young master and the little princess at the same time. The capital Star region branch of the Tang Dynasty group arranged production as soon as possible and shipped the parts to Xia and Star in a timely manner. Xia Xingchen didn't go to class for 2 consecutive afternoons. He assembled the 2 mechas by himself and wrote a new mecha operating system. The mecha that Li Qiru modified this time is a general-purpose air combat mecha named Dawn Knight. This mecha has a slender body and a streamlined body, which makes it good at flying inside the atmosphere and in space. Li Qiru's modification this time made a major adjustment to the appearance of the mecha, making it more artistic and aerodynamic. Generally speaking, such a modification that pursues appearance will greatly reduce the performance of the mecha, and only girls like this kind of modification that puts appearance first. However, Li Qiru's modification plan not only did not reduce the performance of the mecha, but also improved the comprehensive performance of the mecha by 60%. One of the mechas painted in royal blue was named the Dawn Goddess. Her fuselage exterior uses royal blue spray paint with obvious reflective effect. The fuselage is also equipped with several light sources, which is very conspicuous, especially when flying at night. The other one was spray painted green and named Forest Goddess. The exterior of this mecha was painted fluorescent green, and the wings and weapon systems behind the mecha were made into the shape of leaves. There are also various gorgeous and shocking patterns on the surface of the mecha. During the day, the mecha can automatically absorb light energy to charge the battery of the mecha, and at night, these patterns will gradually light up and emit a dazzling light. In order to celebrate the launch of the modified mecha, all shareholders of the factory came to the 1524 Mecha Club. Several people also held a small celebration ceremony. When the 2 girls who placed the order came to pick up the mecha, they test drove 2 mechas on the spot. The cool appearance and amazing performance made them love the mecha. In addition, the 2 mechas modified by Li Xiaomin also won unanimous praise from the mecha masters. These 2 mechas are densely covered with various weapon systems. Generally speaking, this kind of design is just flashy and will greatly affect the mobility of the mechas and will also cause serious consequences such as system conflicts. Li Xiaomin adopted several innovative designs to greatly reduce the weight of the mechas and cooperated with the operating system rewritten by Xia Xingchen to perfectly avoid the problem of system incompatibility. The modification of these 4 mechas alone brought the store a net profit of 120 million star coins. Under the insistence of Hans and others, half of the 120 million was divided between the brother and sister. In addition, the mecha hangar behind the store was just completed not long ago, and it was soon filled with mechas waiting for maintenance. The original 3-dimensional mecha hangar was changed to a simple mecha maintenance operating table. For this reason, Hans recruited 2 junior mecha maintenance technicians and 4 maintenance apprentices. Xia Xingchen did some calculations and found that he had received more than 50 million star coins from the beginning of the school year to now. At this rate, he would be able to buy a mecha soon. Chapter 107, Training Combat Skills. A new week began, and Xia Xingchen began to train in new martial arts. He had become very proficient in the 36 tiger moves, and it had even become a physical instinct. Qin Ren felt that Xia Xingchen's ability was enough to learn various combat skills and how to crack them. Combat skills are commonly known as special moves. After a warrior's martial arts has reached a certain level, through some secret methods, combined with his own moves and actual combat experience, he can burst out the maximum attack power in an instant. In the eyes of a martial arts master like Qin Ren, who is almost a master, such so-called special moves seem to be full of loopholes, because using special moves almost requires mobilizing all the strength in the body, so that after using them, the body will have a moment of stiffness and stagnation, which is the biggest flaw of combat skills. In other words, if you use special moves to attack the opponent, once you are dodged or blocked by the opponent, you may be severely injured by the opponent next. Qin Ren trained Xia Xingchen in this combat skill mainly for 2 reasons. First of all, you must understand the opponent's moves and the principles and characteristics of combat skills in order to calmly dodge and find weaknesses. On the other hand, if combat skills are used on mechas, the power of mechas will increase exponentially, and the flaws after using combat skills will be compensated by the performance of mechas. Now Xia Xingchen is also facing the SEAL level Mecha Master level examination. One of the signs of a SEAL level Mecha Master is the ability to use mecha combat skills. Xia Xingchen has been miserable these days. Even though he has thick skin and flesh, he is miserable facing Qin Ren's various weakened combat skills every day. Now he can be said to be covered with scars, because the ultimate move instantly increases strength and speed several times. Even if he uses the inside skill, when he finds that the opponent has launched a combat skill, it is too late to dodge. Moreover, Qin Ren has mastered the timing of launching various combat skills to the extreme, almost without any signs, and Xia Xingchen can only passively take the beating. Dai Ren, who was still working hard on his physical fitness, thought he was having a hard time, but when he saw Xia Xingchen being beaten up every day, he felt more balanced. Xia Xingchen usually likes to go to class in the morning, and in the afternoon he either goes to the library to read, or helps out in the store. His favorite course is the latest application of mecha technology, because for junior students, Dr. Emerson, who teaches this course, is the only special mecha repairer lecturer. Dr. Emerson works at the Mecha Technology Research Center of the Imperial National Academy of Sciences, and he is exposed to the most cutting-edge mecha technology every day. He was hired by the Imperial Military Command College to teach this course. Unlike other lecturers, Dr. Emerson's class is only once a week, on Wednesday mornings, and the content of his lectures is almost never repeated. Every time Dr. Emerson teaches, the mecha maintenance design major is almost empty. Due to limited classroom capacity, the school can only open hundreds of classrooms for synchronous live broadcast teaching every time he teaches. After each class, Professor Emerson would throw out a technical topic for students to discuss and publish his email address. Those students with unique insights would receive replies from the professor. Xia Xingchen always thought about these questions very seriously, and responded very seriously. Just after class that day, Xia Xingchen received an email in his mailbox. Xia Xingchen, I saw your homework. You have a very solid theoretical foundation and unique insights in many aspects. If you have time in the afternoon, please come to the Lanting Pavilion private room on the top floor of the library at 1 o'clock, and we will discuss some academic issues about mecha together. The signature was actually Dr. Emerson. Xia Xingchen was suddenly a little ecstatic. In the afternoon, Xia Xingchen came to the library on time. When the door of the private room opened, it was Dr. Emerson inside. After sitting down, Dr. Emerson asked him dozens of questions in a row, all of which were from Xia Xingchen's homework. After all, there is a bad atmosphere in the academic world called plagiarism. But Xia Xingchen answered them fluently. The doctor was very satisfied. The two chatted enthusiastically. Xingchen, your solution to the problem of stable power output of macro-controlled nuclear fusion engines is excellent. How did you come up with it? The doctor asked curiously. I had a classmate who also proposed a similar idea, but it has never been concretized. After all, there are too few nuclear engines. Doctor, this is my mecha maintenance enlightenment teacher, and it is also the idea that my godfather told me. Then when the two of us were designing a mecha, I verified this solution. Your godfather? What does he do? He should be a special mecha maintenance technician. Where does he work? The doctor asked anxiously. I don't know what level of maintenance technician he is. He should be a special level. Dad used to be a maintenance supervisor at a small military base. Xia Xingchen replied. That's unlikely. As far as I know, many small military bases are lucky to find an experienced mid-level mecha maintenance technician as a maintenance supervisor. What is the basis for your judgment that he is a special maintenance technician? Because I'm a senior mecha maintenance technician, and my teacher is much better than me in terms of level and knowledge. Xia Xingchen said, and took out the red senior mecha maintenance technician identification card from the pocket of his military uniform. Dr. Emerson was shocked. Such a young senior mecha maintenance technician was unheard of in his decades of teaching maintenance technicians. He hurriedly asked, what is the name of your master? Free. We used to serve in Watchster. Dr. Emerson used his personal terminal to project a photo on the big screen in the private room and asked, "Do you think it's the person in this photo? This is a group photo. 4 middle-aged people are surrounding an old man in his 60s. The background behind them is a yellow and black miniature-controlled nuclear fusion mecha engine." Xia Xingchen recognized it. It was the Lungsan one. One of the middle-aged men was Emerson, and the one next to him was the young father Free. "Yes, the one standing next to you is my godfather and teacher, Free. So it's brother Free. It's true that a good teacher produces good students. We are brothers from the same school, both of whom studied under Master Zhuo Lehang. The old man in the photo is the teacher of me and your godfather." Emerson sighed. With this relationship, the conversation between the two became closer. Before leaving, Emerson handed him a special card. With it, Xia Xingchen could go to the classroom, where Dr. Emerson taught every time, so that he could participate in the interaction in the class. Xia Xingchen was very grateful for this. Chapter 108, Fighting the Diurnal Alpha Again. A month passed quickly, and the course of cross-country running with weights and the basic military literacy subject finally ended. Half of the students in Xia Xingchen's group met the standard for passing the test. This training has come to an end. As for those students who did not meet the standard, they can only try their best to pass the exam through personal efforts in the future. At this time, Sergeant Christo was teaching his students at the mecha training ground of the Imperial Military Command Academy. Today, we are conducting a course on elementary mecha combat. This course lasts for 1 month, and mecha masters of level D and above do not need to attend the class. Among you, those who are level D mecha masters, please step out. Lieutenant Colonel Christo said. "Report to the instructor, I'm a level D mecha master." Pan Keifu was very proud. After all, there are very few people in this age group who can pass the qualification of level D mecha masters. And this qualification was earned by his own strength. "Report to the commander, I'm also a level D mecha master." Xia Xingchen shouted, stepping forward and stepping out. Pan Keifu's face suddenly turned cold. He stared at Xia Xingchen, and Xia Xingchen stared back. Their eyes met and collided in the air, and the huge murderous aura made the people around them tense. "It seems that you two are not convinced by each other. How about this? You two fight with real swords and guns, so that your classmates can directly feel the true level of D-class mecha masters." Christo saw something in their eyes. "It's an honor," Xia Xingchen said. "I couldn't ask for it." Pantsev decided to defeat Xia Xingchen in his strongest field, to show the force of the Northern Fleet. There are several mecha arenas next to the mecha training ground. The students sat down in the stands one after another. The two selected mechas on their personal terminals. Not long after, 2 mechas rose from the underground hangar of the arena. The entire arena was completely empty, and there were hundreds of various general-purpose mechas. The mecha courses of the Imperial Military Academy rarely use simulators, because many things cannot be reflected on simulators. Whether they are teaching or training, they start from actual combat. Although the annual cost is almost astronomical, it is insignificant compared to the talents that are continuously sent to the army. Moreover, there are tens of thousands of students in the mecha maintenance and design department waiting for maintenance practice. The damaged mechas in these trainings will be directly sent to the Mecha Maintenance Operation Center to provide students with opportunities for practice. Pan Keifu chose a diurnal alpha mecha. He wanted to tear Xia Xingchen apart with his strongest strength. As for the ridiculous order not to attack the cockpit, he didn't care. After all, there are many ways to kill or maim people without attacking the cockpit. Moreover, he wanted to establish his authority and let those students see that there is only one end to violating the will of the North, and that is death. Xia Xingchen naturally chose the Ranger Mecha, and chose melee equipment, alloy shield, alloy sword and 2 daggers. 2 thrusters were installed on the back. The cost of alloy swords will be lower in training, and they can be used repeatedly, and avoid the trouble of charging. Moreover, the power of alloy weapons is limited, which can avoid causing serious damage. The indicator lights on the mecha arena began to flash, and when the green light came on, the 2 mechas rushed towards each other frantically. The alloy claws of the dire wolf crossed and slashed at Xia Xingchen, who dodged it very calmly, and then swung his sword at the dire wolf. Seeing that the attack failed, Pankeifu drove the mecha to the side and dodged the sword. The two mechas fought back and forth. Pankeifu's dire wolf made a fierce move, and it seemed to have taken the lead on the scene. But he knew very well that the mecha master on the opposite side was very difficult to deal with. The ranger dodged his attack slightly and swung his sword to counterattack frequently. Pankeifu could feel that the ranger mecha was not doing its best. Thinking of this, Pankeifu accelerated his movements. The dire wolf attacked the opponent repeatedly like an angry wolf, while the ranger was like a martial arts master, coming and going like the wind. The audience below was stunned, and Lieutenant Colonel Christo nodded frequently. The level of these two has far exceeded that of a D-class mecha division, and is close to that of a C-class mecha division. In a blink of an eye, 10 minutes of high-intensity fighting passed, and the energy consumption of the dire wolf mecha had exceeded half. After all, such a continuous high-power output mecha could not bear it, not to mention that the dire wolf itself was a big energy consumer. He was a little anxious. If he continued to fight like this, his mecha would be the first to use up its energy, and then he would be at the mercy of others. Xia Xingchen's performance had already caused a trace of fear in his heart. If Andre's loss to the mecha division of the same level of the Imperial Army was an accident, then how should he explain the one opposite him? If the Imperial mecha division is so strong, how can the Northern Fleet win? Thinking of this, Pantsev planned to use the mecha combat skills. He practiced this move for a long time before he mastered it. He originally planned to use it on Andre, but now he was forced to use it in advance. As the battle continued, Xia Xingchen discovered that the opponent's attack had undergone a subtle change. The speed of the mecha's attack had increased, but the power of the mecha's attack had decreased. Moreover, the Ice Wolf's attack just now was aimed at the vital parts of Xia Xingchen's mecha, but now, it only sought to cause even a small amount of damage to the ranger, and he deliberately repeated some offensive moves. Xia Xingchen suddenly became alert. He remembered the precursors of the mecha's combat skills that Qin Ren and the old man told him about in the past few days. This kid is going to use combat skills. Xia Xingchen was fully alert. At this time, Pankeifu was charging all the accessories of the mecha and deliberately repeated some attack methods to find some rules of Xia Xingchen. And his mecha was gradually speeding up the attack speed in an attempt to disrupt Xia Xingchen's offensive rhythm. He was looking for the opportunity to launch the final attack. Suddenly, the Ice Wolf swept across with its front paws and went straight to the knee of the ranger's mecha. He had just used this move twice and found that Xia Xingchen's mecha would habitually turn around and dodge with its right leg as support. At this moment of turning around, the entire center of gravity of the mecha was on this right leg, and the opportunity came. Pankeifu burst out all his mental power at this moment, and the dire wolf, whose body was slightly curled up, pounced out instantly, leaving a residual image. This is Pankeifu's combat skill, Kill the Wolf. Come on. Xia Xingchen shouted, and at this time he also used all his mental power, lifted up the mecha with mental power, and stepped on the power pedal. Pankeifu was observing his movements, and he was also using fake moves to confuse Pankeifu. The dire wolf mecha pounced on the back waist of the ranger like a hungry wolf. Hiss, too late, dead, can't hide. The students watching in the audience sentenced the ranger mecha to death in their hearts. Suddenly, a sudden change occurred. The ranger mecha, which was thought to be slow to react, suddenly rose from the ground and also left a residual image. The dire wolf actually grabbed the residual image with one claw. The ranger took off into the air, holding the alloy sword in both hands, and stabbed the waist of the dire wolf mecha under him. For most cats and dogs, they are all strong and flexible, because their waists need to be flexible, and the same is true for mechas. The waist is the weakest part. The entire dire wolf was pierced by the alloy sword, and nailed to the ground. After a slight explosion, the dire wolf was completely paralyzed on the ground. Good fight, Xingchen, you are great. The audience was boiling. At this time, in the cockpit of the dire wolf, Pantsev punched into the display screen in front of him. Blood flowed down his hand. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109 Royal Secrets. At this time, in the Xia Xingchen Palace, Prince Nicholas, the governor of the Northern Administrative Region, was reporting on his work every 3 years. A minister publicly accused Nicholas of plotting against his will in the court, but Nicholas denied all the accusations on the grounds of slander. The Emperor Xinzeng severely reprimanded the ministers who jumped out and expressed his unconditional support and trust in Prince Nicholas. Seeing the emperor staring at Prince Nicholas with a tender gaze, the old foxes in the court were silent. That night, several heavyweights including the Grand Marshal of the Imperial Army, von Bismarck, and the Imperial Minister of the Interior, De Yunfei, gathered in a secret meeting room at De Yunfei's home. "Everyone, this may be our last chance. If we don't kill Nicholas, I don't know how many lives will be lost in the future," a minister said angrily. "I think you are out of your mind. In the eyes of His Majesty the Emperor, Nicholas is the most loyal minister. If we assassinate him, it would be treason. Even if the assassination succeeds, the furious emperor will kill all the families of us who planned it. What's more, do you think Nicholas is unprepared for this trip? In the capital Starfield, His Majesty the Emperor actually sent the royal guards to protect him. How much do you think we have to pay to kill him without anyone noticing? What's more, Nicholas is an S-class mecha master. If he doesn't die, the public opinion of the entire galaxy will crush us, and His Majesty the Emperor will uproot the military and the Ministry of the Interior. At that time, all our efforts over the years will be wasted." De Yunfei has a bad temper. When he sees someone paying attention, he starts to curse. "Yes, we are loyal to the Empire and the royal family, but not as loyal as Nicholas. He is loyal to His Majesty the Emperor himself." Feng Bismarck sighed. Another minister said, "Even if Nicholas made a great contribution to the Emperor's ascension to the throne, he shouldn't be so obedient to him. What happened to the Emperor in Siberia?" De Yunfei shook his head. "Our military intelligence department has spent a lot of effort to investigate this matter in recent years. It turned out that all the staff who participated in the reception of the Emperor, including a large number of Nicholas's eunuchs, died. I guess they were silenced. The truth is probably only known by the parties involved." Alas. Everyone sighed. It was late at night. Xia Star, the palace. At this time, Xinzeng, the emperor of the Galaxy Empire, was tossing and turning in bed, thinking of the blonde man who lived in the manor next door. His body couldn't help but react, and his thoughts drifted to 30 years ago. At that time, Xinzeng was only the third prince of the Galaxy Empire. The succession to the throne of the Galaxy Empire adopts the method of the emperor appointing the prince as the successor. If the emperor died unexpectedly, and the successor had problems, and could not succeed to the throne, the elders of the royal family would designate the successor from the remaining princes. The previous emperor of the Galactic Empire had 3 princes. The eldest and second princes were both very capable and ambitious, while the third prince Xinzeng was timid and girlish. The old emperor had been slow to designate a successor, and he wanted to choose the most capable one from the eldest and second princes as his successor. For the throne, the 2 princes did whatever it took, attacking each other in the court, secretly accumulating strength, raising dead soldiers, and later assassinating each other. The old emperor knew that the 2 sons were ruthless, and even if Xinzeng was not a threat at all, he might not be able to escape their clutches. So he asked the youngest son to leave the capital Starfield to avoid disaster. So he came to Siberia. At that time, Nicholas was only 20 years old and had just taken over the hereditary position of the highest official of the Northern Administrative District. Xinzeng was 1 year younger than him. Both of them were young people with a lot in common. Xinzeng was also attracted by Nicholas's personality charm, and the 2 were together all day long. But his 2 elder brothers did not want any uncontrollable factors to happen, and sent several groups of assassins to assassinate Xinzeng. It was Nicholas and his men who fought desperately to save his life again and again. In the most thrilling time, the assassin's mecha raised the electric axe to chop at the car he was riding in. It was Nicholas who drove the mecha in time and blew up the mecha. Xinzeng's heart melted when he saw the heroic appearance of Nicholas with blonde hair coming out of the mecha. That night, a relationship beyond friendship occurred between the 2 men. This taboo love made Xinzeng unable to stop, and the 2 of them were almost together every day. What he didn't know was that those who might know about the relationship between the two were secretly killed by Nicholas. A year later, the second prince, who was temporarily at a disadvantage in the competition for the throne, was so crazy that he designed to kill the old emperor and the eldest prince at the royal banquet. The result of this incident was that the elders of the royal family could no longer bear it. The elders are loyal to the royal family and the emperor himself. They generally do not interfere in the fight for the throne. However, the second prince's act of killing the old emperor for the throne touched the red line that must not be touched. The royal elders council shot the second prince and welcomed the only surviving Prince Qinzheng back to the throne. In the early days of Qinzheng's succession, many forces in the Milky Way were very dissatisfied with the cowardly emperor. They pretended to obey, but secretly disobeyed him, and tried every means to make things difficult for him. It was Nicholas who brought his confidants to kill for Qinzheng's prestige. Later, Qinzheng wanted to appoint Nicholas as regent, but was opposed by the civil and military officials in the court. Because in the Galactic Empire, it is a very taboo for the frontier officials to interfere in politics. Because the Royal Elders Council and the court officials were resolute on this matter, Nicholas finally reached an agreement with the court officials. Nicholas could develop his own military power, but he had to leave the capital star and return to the north. From then on, this special couple was forced to separate, and the seeds of the division of the empire were planted. My dear Nicholas, how could you betray me? Thinking of this, His Majesty the Emperor finally fell asleep. Chapter 110, on the Dragoons. A message suddenly appeared on the bulletin board of the Imperial Military Command Academy. 2 months later, Tang Dynasty Group will co-host a mecha combat competition and a mecha maintenance design competition with the Imperial Military Command Academy and the Royal Military Academy. The contestants are junior students from these two military academies. The competition is divided into 3 events: mecha combat, mecha design, and mecha maintenance. This is a traditional event that is held every year. If the contestants get good results, they will receive very generous prizes, and in the future, whether they join the army or find employment, the winners will receive a lot of extra points. Especially for the winners of the mecha design competition, Tang Dynasty Group will acquire the patents of their works and even sign contracts with them, inviting designers to join Tang Dynasty Group. You should know that joining Tang Dynasty Group is the dream of many designers. The competition is divided into individual competition and team competition. When registering, 3 people will register as a group. Each person can participate in multiple competitions, and the individual scores and the total scores of the group will be calculated separately. At that time, the group with good scores will also receive a generous prize. While everyone was in the repair shop, several people reached a consensus. Xia Xingchen and Li Xiaomin and Li Qiaoru formed a team to participate in the competition in the name of the 1524 Mecha Club. Among them, Xia Xingchen participated in all 3 competitions, and the brother and sister participated in the mecha design and mecha repair competitions. In the next 2 months, the brother and sister will use their spare time to repair the mecha in the repair workshop. Both of them have strong theoretical knowledge, but their hands-on ability needs to be strengthened. They will use this time for special training. However, the mecha masters participating in the mecha fighting competition can use their own private mechas, so it is imperative to build a handy mecha for Xia Xingchen as soon as possible. Xia Xingchen has distributed more than 50 million star coins in the past month. After the consent of several other people, Hans decided to use all the profits of next month to build a mecha for Xia Xingchen. Strive to achieve good results in this competition and make the 1524 club famous. Regarding the concept of personal mecha, Xia Xingchen still wants to try the Dragoon system. But the problem is that there is too little introduction to the Dragoon mecha. So, on a Wednesday afternoon, he went to the private room on the top floor of the library again, and asked for help from Dr. Emerson. "Teacher, what do you think of the Dragoon system?" Xia Xingchen asked. "Dragoon system? How should I put it? This is something that people love and hate. No one has paid attention to it for a long time. Why do you ask this?" Dr. Emerson asked curiously. "You know about the mecha fighting competition in 2 months. I plan to participate in the competition. But I don't have a mecha yet, so I want to build a mecha that suits me," Xia Xingchen explained. "Then why choose the Dragoon system? Although it is powerful, it requires greater operation. Teacher, I can solve the problem in terms of control, and I plan to install a mental force sensing system on each floating gun. But there is a question that has been bothering me. Should I modify the mature Dragoon mecha that I already have, or install the Dragoon kit on other existing models of mecha? Xia Xingchen asked. Dr. Emerson thought for a long time before he spoke. Everyone has been misled about the Dragoon system. Most people believe that the Dragoon mecha was eliminated due to its difficult operation and high price. But in fact, the main reason restricting the development of the Dragoon mecha is the power system. Why do you say it is a power system? The Dragoon system takes up a lot of the volume of the mecha itself and is heavy, which makes it a big energy consumer. In addition, each floating gun must return to the mother body for recharging after 1 or 2 minutes of use. Therefore, many mechas equipped with the Dragoon system have to install several sets of mecha batteries to ensure that the performance of the body is not greatly affected, but the result is that the weight and energy consumption of the body are increased again, falling into a vicious circle. Dr. Emerson's narration made Xia Xingchen fall silent. The doctor continued, the most popular period of the Dragoon mecha was about 100 years ago, and the last small-scale production of the Dragoon mecha was 80 years ago, and the demand was very small, with only a dozen units in total. The number of their production was so small that it was not included in the book History of Mecha Design and Development. Later, nuclear power engines appeared, and the power problem that restricted the development of the Dragoon was completely solved, but at this time the Dragoon mecha had been forgotten for decades, and was regarded as a very backward technical route. No one paid attention to it anymore. I see, I'm enlightened, Xia Xingchen said sincerely. Then let's look at your plan. You don't have a nuclear power engine, and the engine and energy reserves of ordinary mechas are not enough to drive the Dragoon system. Even for a heavy mecha like the Tornado, you can't drive the Dragoon system without removing the shield and all the armor, so I advise you to give up this technical plan. But, the previous mechas dedicated to the Dragoon system were huge in size, and they sacrificed a lot of other performance for the Dragoon system. It's not easy to transform them. Xia Xingchen expressed his concerns. Wait a moment. The doctor said, calling up a technical drawing on his personal terminal, and sent it to Xia Xingchen. This is the Mecha 8-armed mecha, which was used by a famous S-class mecha master more than 80 years ago. Its design was simply epoch-making at the time. It is the most outstanding Dragoon system mecha I have ever seen, and many of its designs are still relevant today. I suggest you redesign it based on it. Xia Xingchen looked at the information of this mecha carefully. 8-armed Neza mecha, height 8.6 meters. Parameters, strength 20, agility 15, armor 20, speed 18. A special mecha equipped with a Dragoon system, equipped with a total of 8 floating guns. Xia Xingchen frowned. Teacher, this mecha is too big. Haha, Dr. Emerson smiled slightly. Xingchen, this is a design from 80 years ago. With the application of new technologies and new materials, the size of many devices can be greatly reduced. Moreover, it is equipped with 8 floating guns, and you are not an S-class mecha master, so you may not be able to control it. Therefore, you can use the Dragoon system equipped with 6 or 4 floating guns. In this way, the size and energy consumption can be further reduced. Xia Xingchen nodded. Thank you very much, teacher. Chapter 111, Women in the Military Academy. The weekend is here. Xia Xingchen was busy in the store all day and finally went home early in the evening. He found that his roommates were all there, and several of them were sitting in the living room chatting. Hans Grandad was browsing information on his reader, looking for business opportunities. Suddenly, he shouted, "Look at the campus Xianwang forum, the latest issue of our school's campus beauty list is out." As he said that, he projected the campus forum webpage onto the big screen in the living room. There was a post on it that said the latest school beauties of the Imperial Military Academy: Angelica, a Siberian, 19 years old, a cold and powerful beautiful mecha master; Zhang Yingying, a Xiaonan, 17 years old, a little princess with both beauty and wisdom; Li Qiru, a Chang'an, 17 years old, a beautiful mecha designer with a perfect figure; Yaoye, a Xiaonan, 17 years old, a real white, rich and beautiful, Miffle, a South Pole. 18 years old, a coquettish revenge witch, Ji Yunsu, an earthling. 18 years old, a dignified and elegant intellectual beauty, Zuo King, a Chang'an. 15 years old, a quirky and talented beautiful girl. These 7 people are called the 7 pharaohs of the Imperial Military Command Academy. The post was accompanied by a photo under each girl's description. It can be seen that they were all secretly taken, but the photography level is very professional. The post was signed by the gossip studio. Looking down at the replies, goddess I like fear the most I can play with QIUI's long legs for a year that eyeing is not something that ordinary men can conquer it seems that my fathers-in-law are not easy to deal with. Looking at these comments, Xia Xingchen shook her head. These people are just animals. Li Xiaomin wanted to fight those animals who commented on her sister. Dayren opened his personal terminal, called up the personal information of these girls, took a look, and took a breath of cold air. He said, the backgrounds of these girls are not simple, but then again, if you marry one of these girls, you will at least save yourself a few decades of hard work. Oh, tell us quickly. Hans became excited when he heard it. After all, gossip is human nature. First of all, there is no need to talk about QIUIUI, the little princess of Tang Dynasty group. Hans almost bit his tongue when he heard it. What? QIUIUI and Li Xiaomin are so powerful. How dare you hide it from us? Your family is so rich, and you come to work for me. Are you kidding me? As he said that, he jumped up and pretended to strangle Li Xiaomin's neck. Ahem. Stop it. Li Xiaomin showed an awkward smile on his face. The money in my family belongs to my parents, not to me and my sister. We just want to be self-reliant. Humph, I'll keep this account for now, and I'll settle it later. I won't let you go so easily. Hans leaned back on the sofa, thinking about how to exploit the rich man in front of him. Dayren continued, Zhang Yingying, this girl is not simple. Her father, Admiral Zhang Yuan, is the commander of the First Fleet of the Galactic Empire. Her grandfather, Admiral Zhang King, is the Chief of Staff of the General Staff of the Galactic Empire. When she was very young, she won numerous awards in various children's military command competitions and military chess competitions. At the age of 12, she commanded a squadron to wipe out a star pirate group of the same size and won a complete victory. Now the officers and soldiers of the First Fleet affectionately call her our little princess Angelica, from Siberia, with the rank of captain. Her father is the commander of the Ice Blade Special Operations Brigade under Prince Nicholas. This girl joined the army at the age of 15 and has hundreds of lives on her hands. She is a sophomore student. In the past year, more than a dozen boys have been beaten and lost their fertility because of teasing her. Alas, even the female mecha divisions in the north are so strong. They are all strong opponents. Xia Xingchen was a little depressed. Dayren continued to introduce Yaoyi. This girl comes from the oldest business family in the Galactic Empire, the Yao family. Their family controls dozens of interstellar business groups. Let's put it this way, the assets of the Grandit family and the Daton group combined are probably less than 1/10 of the total assets of the Yao group. Hans became excited when he heard it. This is my dish. No one of you is allowed to compete with me, especially Xingchen. You already have QIUIUI. Give us a way out. Xia Xingchen smiled bitterly. Next, Miffle. The girl's uncle is Prince Milner, the governor of the Southern Administrative District. It is said that this hereditary prince position originally belonged to her father, but Prince Milner sent someone to assassinate her father and took away the position. From then on, she and her mother sold their property and came to Shinyuan Star. In order to seek revenge, the mother and daughter became famous socialites. Her mother hooked up with high-ranking officials of the empire in the aristocratic circle, and Miffle hooked up with these powerful children in the military academy. There is only one goal, to avenge Prince Milner. Wow, it's so exciting. This can be made into a movie. Princess Revenge, how about it? Hans Grandit shouted. Such a woman must be very attractive. Look at her charming eyes in the photo. His saliva was almost flowing out. I warn you, this Miffy is very resourceful. She has fascinated those rich kids. She is good at dancing with long sleeves and can deal with so many second generation rich kids with ease. With your IQ, you can be fooled to death by her. Daren gave advice to his roommates. This Ji Yunsu, I have met her once. Her temperament is simply too charming. Her grandfather is the most famous scholar from the Galactic Empire on Earth, Mr. Jilin, a master of literature and history. Her father is the dean of the Faculty of Arts at the Imperial Capital University. Mr. Jilin once asserted that the empire would soon break out in a civil war. He asked his grandchildren to join the army, but no one responded. The old man was furious. Later, the filial Ji Yunsu resolutely gave up his pen and joined the army and joined the military academy. Hey, such a secret family matter, how did you know? Xia Xingchen suddenly asked. Yes, it's not normal that you think so highly of this girl. Hans also came over. There must be something going on. Li Xiaomin also nodded. Looking at these three bad friends, Daren's cold face rarely blushed. My grandfather and Mr. Jilin are old friends, so I know. Oh, that's why. The roommates all had smirks on their faces. Okay, stop it. Let's talk about the last one. Zuo King, a genius girl in mecha, was admitted to the school last year when she was only 14 years old. Her grandfather is Mr. Zuo Liheng, a master in the mecha world. She has all kinds of privileges in the school, and there is also a beautiful girl guard. And this little girl is quirky and loves to play tricks on people. You'd better stay away from her when you see her in the future. Daren finally finished introducing these beauties to his roommates. Oh, I didn't expect that the Imperial Military Command Academy is full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Xia Xingchen sighed. Yes, a group of difficult tigresses. Hans added to him. Chapter 112 Modification Plan released. The next day, Xia Xingchen came to the 1524 Mech Club early in the morning, briefly checked several mechas with difficult and complicated problems in the mech library, made maintenance plans for other mech repairmen, and then went to the office upstairs to start designing his own mech. Every mech designer has different habits when working. For example, Xia Xingchen only needs a quiet environment, while Li Qiuru likes the quiet and elegant environment, such as the small private room with beautiful environment in the library. Li Xiaomin is a completely different style. As long as inspiration comes, he can start working anywhere, whether in bed or in the toilet. Looking at the design drawing of the 8-armed Nezamech in front of him, Xia Xingchen couldn't help but exclaimed repeatedly, "This is a true masterpiece of a master." Under the technical conditions at the time, it was already the ultimate to be able to bring the space and performance of the mech to this extent. Now it depends on yourself. The first thing Xia Xingchen has to improve is the energy module. The 8-armed Nezamech is equipped with 6 energy storage battery packs, 4 of which provide energy to the mech mother body, and the other 2 provide energy to the Dragoon system. These 6 groups of batteries occupy 60% of the volume of the mecha. With the development of science and technology over the past 80 years, humans have found very good battery materials. Now the energy storage of a universal mecha battery module of the same volume is 3 times that of the battery module of the 8-armed Nezamecha 80 years ago. Dr. Emerson also recommended to Xia Xingchen a new DC-883 mecha battery that has just been put into use and is mainly used in high-end private customized mechas. The energy storage of this battery is 3 times that of the universal mecha battery. In other words, the energy storage of a DC-883 is now equivalent to the energy storage of 9 8-armed Nezamecha battery packs. Xia Xingchen weighed the pros and cons again and again, and changed the original 7 battery packs to 3 DC-883 battery packs, 2 of which provide energy to the mecha, and 1 specifically provides energy to the Dragoon system. The next thing to be solved is the problem of the thruster. In order to ensure the movement ability of the huge body, the 8-armed Neza can be said to be full of gaps in the front, back, left and right of the entire body, and dozens of large and small yellow light thrusters are arranged. Today's mecha thrusters are all particle jet thrusters. The earliest human transportation thrusters were either jets, water jets, or flames after the rocket engine burned. However, although rocket jet thrusters have strong explosive power, they waste a lot of fuel and cannot be applied to mechas at all. You can imagine a mecha carrying a huge fuel tank on its back, and it runs out of fuel before it flies far. Moreover, the fuel of the rocket engine is flammable and explosive. You can imagine the tragic situation of a mecha being hit by a laser on the battlefield and becoming a huge bomb. Early mechas had almost no flying ability, and most of the thrusters were jet type. This situation continued until 300 years ago, when scientists successfully invented particle jet thrusters suitable for mechas. Its working principle is that the mecha engine imports the energy inside the battery into the thruster, and the energy bombards the energy medium in the thruster to produce a large number of high-energy particles. These particles are ejected from the nozzle of the thruster to generate huge thrust, driving the mecha to move. Different thrusters use different energy media, and the colors of the high-energy particles ejected are also different. The engines with the same energy consumption have the highest thrust of red light thrusters, followed by white light thrusters, and then blue light thrusters, while yellow light thrusters are the most primitive. At present, most mechas on the market use blue light thrusters because this type of thruster has the highest cost effectiveness. Xia Xingchen replaced the 4 medium-sized thrusters on the front of the mecha and the 4 large thrusters on the back with white light thrusters, and the thrusters on the legs and arms with blue light thrusters. He calculated that these thrusters alone would cost about 300 million star coins. But for the performance of the mecha, he had to equip them with gritted teeth. The next step is the improvement of materials. The new mecha armor material reduces the thickness and weight of the body armor by 1/3, but increases the strength several times. The only drawback is that there is no nuclear energy engine, and it is impossible to equip the energy-consuming light energy armor. In terms of the mecha support structure, the use of new materials has also effectively reduced the size of the mecha. There are also various detection instruments. Due to the use of a new integrated design, the size of the mecha has been further reduced. The most critical transformation comes from the Dragoon system itself. The Dragoon system of the 8-armed Neza mecha is a huge flywheel disc, equipped on the back of the mecha, which looks like a big turtle shell. 8 floating guns are inserted on the flywheel disc. The flywheel disc contains a battery pack, a main control computer for the floating gun, a signal transmitter and other devices. The floating gun can leave the flywheel disc of the mecha mother body for 1 minute. After 1 minute, the floating gun will fly back to the flywheel disc to recharge. It takes 10 minutes to recharge, and a total of 2 attacks can be carried out. When the floating gun does not leave the mecha mother body, it can be used as a laser gun to shoot targets on the same plane as the flywheel disc. The maximum distance between the floating gun and the mecha mother body is 50 meters. Xia Xingchen's several modifications to the Dragoon system are mainly, first, the launch device and main control computer of the floating gun are cancelled, and a mental force sensing device is installed, which is directly controlled by the mecha master himself. The floating gun uses new materials, which is smaller in size, but more powerful, faster, and has a stronger endurance. The flywheel disc can rotate, and the floating gun is placed on the gun mount on the flywheel disc. The gun mount can be raised 90 degrees, so that the floating gun can be used as a laser gun to attack all targets behind the mecha without blind spots. In addition, the most critical point is that the 8 floating guns have been reduced to 6. In this way, Xia Xingchen can recycle and use the floating gun. In addition, the charging time of the floating gun has been shortened to 1 minute, and the endurance has been extended to 3 minutes, with a maximum distance of 800 meters from the mother body. Excluding the Dragoon system, the weapons of the 8-armed Neza mecha are relatively simple: an alloy shield, a mecha laser rifle, and 2 twin laser guns on each shoulder. Basically, there is no melee ability. Xia Xingchen used the original design, but added 2 light energy swords to the waist of the mecha, and the feet, knees, and elbows were equipped with retractable light energy blades. This gives the mecha a powerful melee ability. The mecha design drawings were entered into the computer. After a few minutes of calculation, several holographic projection devices lit up, and a holographic image of majestic mecha appeared in front of him. Xia Xingchen smiled with satisfaction. But soon, he stopped laughing, because he suddenly realized that the cost of this mecha was as high as 800 million star coins. This is just the cost of the materials. If you want to build such a mecha in a mecha modification store, the conservative estimate is 2 billion star coins. After hearing Xia Xingchen's troubles, several roommates laughed. The store will pay for this. The requirements are, the mecha must be printed with the store's logo during the competition, and after the competition, the mecha will be displayed in the store when not in use. Hans made another shrewd calculation. Xingchen, our Tang Dynasty Group R&D department has a special department that collects and purchases excellent private mecha design patents. Your design can fully meet their standards, and it is no problem to sell the design patent for 1 billion star coins. There have been no outstanding Dragoon mechas for decades, and there are still many Dragoon enthusiasts. Your plan can bring a lot of profits to the Tang Dynasty Group. Li Xiaomin added. Xia Xingchen then dispelled his concerns. Li Xiaomin also quickly helped him pass the drawings to the processing factory. After all, there was only more than a month left in the competition, and they didn't have much time left. Chapter 113 Assassinating Nicholas. A few days later, a piece of news shocked the entire galactic empire. Prince Nicholas was attacked by a suicide attack from a space cargo ship while attending the opening ceremony of a high-end restaurant in the Canal space station. In the end, Prince Nicholas escaped by chance, but the incident caused more than 8,000 deaths. The independent miners organization, the Galactic Freedom Army, claimed responsibility for the incident. The Galactic Freedom Army is a resistance organization composed of miners who account for nearly 60% of the total population of the Milky Way. Their slogan is oppose oppression, equality for all. Although many of its members later became citizens, they have not forgotten their identity as miners and their miserable past. They planned riots, assassinations, terrorist attacks and other activities on various planets with the aim of overthrowing the rule of the Galactic Empire and establishing a new social order where everyone is equal. In the last few days of Prince Nicholas's report on his work on Xia Star, he had to attend some social activities. For example, Gregory, who invited him to attend the restaurant opening ceremony this time, is a big local tycoon from the Northern Administrative District. His chain of restaurants is spread throughout the universe, and he is also one of Nicholas's major sponsors. Gregory's restaurant is his 160,000th restaurant, mainly for high-end customers. Through the transparent glass dome of the restaurant, you can enjoy space food while appreciating the beautiful scenery of Xia Star in space. When Nicholas was giving a speech in the restaurant, a 500,000-ton ore transport ship suddenly deviated from the course. The ship, which was loaded with a large amount of ore and explosives, crashed into the restaurant, where Prince Nicholas was at full speed. At this critical moment, Prince Nicholas's flagship, the Icefield spaceship, mustered all its strength to crash head-on into the cargo ship. After a violent collision and explosion, the wreckage of the Icefield and the cargo ship fell on the space station, causing a large number of civilian deaths. Nicholas escaped by chance, but the crew on the flagship and Nicholas's guards and entourage all died. At this time, a video condemning Prince Nicholas's atrocities suddenly circulated on the Skynet. The Galactic Empire's suppression of the miners' rebels was very cruel, and once caught, they would be sentenced to death. Prince Nicholas's methods were even more cruel. Once a miner was found to have participated in a resistance organization, his entire family, relatives, and even colleagues who mined together would be executed. Not long ago, dozens of miners' riots broke out on a small mining planet in the Northern Administrative Region. Nicholas mobilized the Northern Fleet to carry out an indiscriminate saturation attack on the planet from space, and more than 80 million miners died in the attack. The resistance organization, the Galaxy Freedom Army, hated Nicholas so much that they took advantage of Nicholas's report to Xia Star and mobilized a lot of manpower and material resources to finally find such an opportunity to assassinate Nicholas. But what they didn't expect was that Nicholas's guards and followers ignored their personal safety and drove the warship head-on into the ore transport ship, allowing Prince Nicholas to escape from this deadly situation. Upon hearing the news, Emperor Qinzheng of the Galactic Empire was furious. He instructed the Imperial Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Intelligence Department to frantically hunt down members of the Galaxy Freedom Army and other miners' liberation organizations, arresting and executing hundreds of thousands of people within a few days. At the same time, because the ship was destroyed, Emperor Qinzheng specially approved Nicholas to stay in Xia Star for another month, which was actually the Emperor's expectation, and authorized the Northern Fleet to send a warship to pick Nicholas up. A month later, the heavy space carrier god of the North Wind, the flagship of the Northern Fleet, which had just been commissioned, was anchored in the airport of the Canal Space Station. This incident was regarded as a great shame by the Imperial military, but the infatuated Emperor of the Empire did not seem to realize this. He also visited the ship with interest, and led the royal fleet to personally send Nicholas away from the capital starfield. At this time, Nicholas was sitting in a luxurious room on the heavy aircraft carrier god of the North Wind, recalling his experience of the trip to Shianeo and Star these days. In order to gain Qin Zheng's trust, he did not hesitate to sacrifice his body, and did that disgusting thing with Qin Zheng. Who knew that Qin Zheng was never tired of this kind of thing? When he was forced to compromise and leave the capital starfield, he might have been thinking of getting rid of Qin Zheng, the dead glass. However, when he came to report on his work this time, he found that Qin Zheng's feelings for him had not changed, which was a good thing for him, and he bought himself 2 more years of precious preparation time. Just bear with it for the last 2 years, and the entire galactic empire will be mine. By then, Qin Zheng, you pervert, I will find hundreds of hungry strong men to love you well. Thinking of this, Nicholas connected the secret communication device, and the person who appeared on the screen was Yuri, the newly appointed head of the Secret Operations Department of the Intelligence Department of the Northern Administrative Region. After not seeing each other for a few months, Yuri has grown hair through biotechnology, and he has gained a lot of weight, and his whole face is radiant. Your Majesty Nicholas, what do you want to do? Yuri asked. My dear Yuri, the paralysis operation can be implemented from now on, Nicholas ordered. But Your Majesty, we are not fully prepared yet, and after deduction, we have found that it is best to start a full-scale uprising 1 year before the full-scale uprising, Yuri suggested. No need to wait, start now, and keep starting. Don't be afraid of alerting the enemy. Just leave clues, and let those fools think that it was done by the angry miners. Nicholas was secretly proud. Although he was almost killed by the Miners' Resistance Organization this time, it also helped him a lot, and attracted most of the attention of the military and the Imperial Intelligence Department. As you wish, my lord. At this time, in a seemingly abandoned space station high in the sky of a remote mining satellite in the eastern starfield, the top leaders of the Miners' Liberation Organization, the Galaxy Freedom Army, had a fierce quarrel. Uncle Mario, you acted too rashly this time, which brought serious consequences to our organization. A 19-year-old girl said seriously. Her name is Xia Xingchen, and she is the daughter of the 20th leader of the Galaxy Freedom Army. Her father, Chen Yazhao, was seriously injured in a conflict with the government army. Half of his body was almost blown off. Fortunately, he was still alive at the time, and was being treated in a biological warehouse. Mario is his second in command. What do you know, a little girl? I almost succeeded. If it weren't for his lackeys who were so fearless, I would have succeeded. Mario said disdainfully. Do you know that your reckless actions have caused the death of hundreds of thousands of our brothers and sisters, and the intelligence network and secret lines we have painstakingly laid out in the capital starfield for decades have been wiped out? Moreover, the conflict between Nicholas and the military was already on the verge of breaking out, but now the spearhead is directed at us. Now Nicholas is the happiest, and your stupid actions have helped him a lot. Uncle Mario, hatred has blinded your eyes. Xia Xingchen said, her eyes were red. What's the death? If you take this road, you must be prepared to sacrifice for freedom at any time. Little girl, I think you have forgotten your roots, because you have become a citizen of the Empire. Mario's words were very vicious. You. Xia Xingchen was so angry that she couldn't speak. After a long time, she slapped the table. Well, from now on, you go your way and I go mine. Let time prove who is right and who is wrong. Well, that's what I want. Goodbye. Chapter 114 Reunion. The Nicholas incident continued to ferment in every corner of the Empire. Another weekend arrived. After Xia Xingchen finished his training with Qinren early in the morning, he went directly to the repair shop. At this time, it had been more than a month since he sent the drawings to the mecha parts manufacturer. Most of the parts were in place. Xia Xingchen began to slowly assemble the mecha, tested each component, and made some improvements to some components. At this time, a luxurious magnetic levitation car stopped at the door of the store. A girl in military uniform got out of the car. Judging from the armband, she was from the Royal Military Academy. Behind her followed two people in camouflage uniforms, one man and one woman, who looked like two bodyguards. Berry greeted them enthusiastically and asked about their needs. I want to customize a private mecha. Please ask the designer who designed the forest goddess mecha in your store to help me design it. The girl was very polite, had a nice voice, and had an aristocratic aura. Her every move showed that she was a well-educated girl. This is unfortunate. This mecha is the work of our design Lee Kyoru. She will not be available until later today. Do you want to make another appointment or wait a few hours? Berry said in embarrassment. Oh, it's so unfortunate. We don't have much time. How about this? Do you have other designers? I'll tell him my needs and ask him to pass them on to design Lee Kyoru. Is that okay? Of course, no problem. Please wait. Berry arranged for them to wait in the lounge and went to find Xia Xingchen. Hello, how can I help you? Xia Xingchen came over. He greeted him warmly. The girl looked at Xia Xingchen carefully. She felt as if she had seen the boy in front of her somewhere, and there was always a familiar shadow in her heart. This? Xia Xingchen asked puzzledly when she saw that she had not spoken. Sorry, I'm rude. I think you looked like a friend of mine, and I remembered something. The girl blushed slightly. It's okay. I heard that you want to customize a private mecha. What kind do you want? Can we talk alone? The girl blinked at Xia Xingchen. Well, okay. Xia Xingchen nodded. At this time, the woman next to the girl stepped forward and blocked him. Miss, no, this is not in compliance with safety regulations. The woman looked at Xia Xingchen coldly. I think our store is able to protect the safety of our customers. Xia Xingchen said. Just you? The woman asked with sarcasm in her tone. Two cold lights burst out of her eyes, staring at Xia Xingchen, and a strong breath emanated from her body. Xia Xingchen knew that it was murderous intent. However, Xia Xingchen was not frightened into compromise and retreat as she imagined. Her murderous aura seemed to be emitted into the sea and disappeared without a trace. The expression of the female bodyguard suddenly became serious, and her whole body was on guard, ready to attack at any time. Marina, you retreat. I order you. I will be responsible for my actions. This designer has no ill intentions, the girl said seriously. But, the female bodyguard wanted to argue. No buts, just follow the order, the girl said, and went to the negotiation room on the second floor with Xia Xingchen. She put forward her requirements for the mecha. Xia Xingchen wrote them down one by one and put forward some suggestions of his own. Xia Xingchen was taking notes seriously, and the girl looked at him quietly. At this time, Xia Xingchen looked completely different from the thin miner 2 years ago. He was at an age when his appearance changed greatly, and he had grown taller and stronger after practicing martial arts for many years. Especially in these years, he had experienced many things, and his whole temperament had changed. Oh, by the way, I haven't asked your name yet. What's your name? The girl asked. My name is Xia Xingchen. Xia Xingchen? It's a very nice name. My name is Kinjana, and I'm very happy to meet you. It's my honor to meet you. Miss Kinjana, I think you look like an old friend of mine. May I know where you are from? I'm from Manastar, a very remote place. Xia Xingchen said. Manastar. Kinjana almost jumped up with joy. My friend is also from Manastar. I went there 2 years ago. Xia Xingchen recalled 2 years ago on Manastar and remembered too many things. Can you tell me your email address? I may have a lot of questions to ask you about Mechas. Kinjana said. As you wish, beautiful lady. Kinjana went downstairs and got on the maglev car with 2 bodyguards. Soon, 2 more cars came to protect the front and back of this car. Not far in the sky, a mecha was always paying attention to the movements of the convoy. The destination of the convoy was the palace of Xia Xingchen. Marina, go check all the files of Xia Xingchen and send them to me. Kinjana said to the female bodyguard. Yes, Princess Crossing. The bodyguard replied. It turned out that Kinjana was the youngest daughter of Emperor Kinzeng of the Galactic Empire, Princess Star Kinjana. She was the Xiao who escaped from the Black Fox with Xia Xingchen. Chapter 115 Dragon Rider. In the palace of Xia Xingchen, Princess Xingchen was a little absent-minded when she saw a long list of files in front of her. The investigation authority level of the palace guards is very high. She got the most detailed file of Xia Xingchen, which recorded Xia Xingchen's experience in the past 2 years. Xia Xingchen, it's you, the magical boy who awakened his mental power with only level 6 mental power. I didn't expect that you have grown so fast in these years, and your experience is so bumpy. Do you remember Xiao who escaped together in the Black Duke Mecha? At this time, the screen was a photo of Xia Xingchen on Manastar 2 years ago. After a long wait, all the accessories and weapons of Xia Xingchen's mecha were in place. On this day, all members of the 1524 Mecha Club came to the store to witness the miracle. Xia Xingchen assembled the last accessory. Then, he got into the cockpit and started writing the control program. As for the color of the mecha's appearance, Xia Xingchen handed this arduous task to Li Qiuru. After all, Qiuru's sister's attainments in aesthetics were incomparable to himself. Since Xia Xingchen is a soldier, his mecha can obtain the identification code of military mecha. Han submitted the identification code to the Xia Xingchen Mecha Management Center early. After all, this is the core of the empire, and the control of mecha is very strict. Private use of mecha can only be limited to the mecha trial field of dozens of kilometers. The canopy was closed, and Li Qiuru's exterior design was also completed at this time. The mechanical arm began to spray. Half an hour later, the mecha's exterior was sprayed. A majestic mecha appeared in front of people. The Dragoon mecha looks taller than ordinary mechas visually. After all, there are huge flywheels and floating guns behind it. Li Qiuru did not choose the most popular white, red, blue, or even the gold color in private mechas, but chose dark gray that few people use. This color, combined with the huge body of the mecha, brings a strong visual impact. The chest and cockpit of the mecha are in navy blue, and the thrusters are decorated with golden yellow. All the indicator lights on the mecha are red, which plays a finishing touch. The logo of the 1524 Mech Club was painted on the flywheel and chest of the mech with fluorescent gold paint. This exterior design attracted everyone's admiration. Xia Xingchen put on the mental force sensing headband, and after the system restarted, a dialog box popped up in front of him. Please name the mech. Xia Xingchen typed 4 big characters on the keyboard. Dragon Rider. This mech is based on the research results of the predecessors on the Dragon Rider system, and this name is also to pay tribute to the predecessors. Then the setting dialog box of the mech control parameters popped up on the screen. Xia Xingchen entered all the mech control parameters. The system restarted again. The red indicator light on the head of the mech lit up, and the mech was fully charged. The conveyor belt transported the Dragon Rider mech to the back door. The back door of the hangar opened, and the Dragon Rider mech slowly walked out of the hangar. Xia Xingchen stepped on the power pedal. Several thrusters were fully opened, and the mech instantly turned into a white light and flew into the sky. Everyone came to the rooftop of the mech repair shop to watch, but they found that their eyes could not keep up with the speed of the mech. After flying for more than 10 minutes, all parts of the mecha operated normally. Xia Xingchen found several data that needed to be fine-tuned and secretly noted them down in his mind. Finally, the exciting moment arrived. Xia Xingchen pressed the start button of the Dragoon system, and the 6 floating guns immediately left the mecha mother body. Although his mental clone could only control 4 floating guns at the same time, the floating guns of the Dragoon system themselves had automatic flight and attack programs. The 2 extra floating guns could perform some simple attacks and evasions under the guidance of the computer program, while the remaining 4 floating guns were free to perform various difficult actions under his control. Half an hour later, the Dragoon Warrior Mecha slowly landed on the open space in front of the 1524 Mecha Club, attracting people's attention again. Is this a Dragoon? It's so spectacular and shocking. I want one too. TSK, it's flashy and useless. The mecha designers of the 1524 Mecha Club are simply too capable, the crowd of onlookers said. Xia Xingchen connected the detection data of the mecha to his personal terminal, then got off the mecha, and was greeted with warm applause from his friends. He looked at the parameters recorded on his personal terminal and smiled. Dragon Rider Mecha, height 5.6 meters, 6.6 meters. This is the height including the dragon cavalry system behind. Parameters: strength 20, agility 20, armor 25, speed 25. 4 medium-sized white light thrusters and 8 small white light thrusters are installed on the back of the mecha. 4 small white light thrusters are installed on the chest. 4 small blow light thrusters are installed on the waist and knees, and 2 small blow light thrusters and 6 macro blow light thrusters are installed on the legs. The weapon system mainly includes the dragon cavalry system and its 6 floating guns. The floating gun can be used as a medium laser gun on the body. In addition, the Dragon Rider mecha is also equipped with an alloy shield, 2 electric swords, a mecha laser rifle, and 2 variable angle twin-mounted mecha laser guns are installed on each shoulder. There are 6 retractable light blades in the feet, knees, and elbows. Han's granddad's eyes were shining, as if what he saw was not a mecha, but a pile of banknotes. At this time, many customers had gathered around to inquire about the parameters and weapon configuration of this mecha. Let me say a few words. Everyone, be quiet. Granddad spoke, interrupting the noisy crowd. This Dragon Rider warrior mecha is the painstaking work of Mr. Xia Xingchen, the technical director of R1524 Mecha Club, a senior mecha repairman and designer. Mr. Xia Xingchen himself is a D-class mecha master, so he knows what this mecha really needs. In addition, the appearance of this mecha was carefully designed by our most artistic design Li Qiuru. Boom. The crowd exploded. In the past 3 months, the reputation of the 1524 Mecha Club has been thoroughly established, and Xia Xingchen's name is almost known to everyone on this street. Many difficult and complicated mecha problems that are difficult to solve in other places are easily solved here. Li Qiuru designed and modified a total of 8 mechas, each of which has a beautiful appearance. Among them, the Goddess series is generally welcomed by female mecha masters. In particular, she is a beauty, one of the school beauties of the Imperial Military Command Academy. The mecha created by the 2 of them has attracted countless mecha enthusiasts to drool. Everyone, be quiet, be quiet. Han stopped the chaotic scene and continued, since Mr. Xia Xingchen will participate in the Xia Star Military Academy mecha fighting competition and mecha design competition, to be held at the beginning of next month, we need to keep the parameters and weapon equipment of the mecha confidential for the time being. In this competition, this Dragon Rider warrior mecha will be strictly evaluated and tested in actual combat by the mecha experts of the Tang Dynasty group. We will announce the parameters of the mecha after the competition. I don't care, I want to order one, and pay the full amount. Little Tangjin shouted in the chaotic crowd. The deposit is 500 million star coins, and the delivery will take 2 months. If you need it, come in and discuss it in detail. Hans shouted, his heart was full of joy. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116. The game begins. Xia Star, Royal Holiday Manor Hotel. This is the most luxurious 7-star hotel on Xia Star. Tang Dynasty Group President Li Zenglang and his wife Mizuki Ashu stayed here. They came here to participate in the mecha competition jointly held by Tang Dynasty Group and the Imperial Military. Although the competition is held every year, this year Tang Dynasty Group suddenly increased its attention. The president came in person, which was rare in previous years. Outsiders had no idea that the competition was just an excuse, and they came to visit their son and daughter. In the first 4 days, after arriving at Xia Star, Li Zenglang and his wife were very busy. They met with the Emperor Qinzheng of the Empire, the Grand Marshal of the Imperial Military, Feng Bismarck, the Imperial Minister of Industry, the Imperial Minister of Finance, the Imperial Minister of Culture, and the person in charge of the Tang Dynasty Group and Xia Star region. They also attended several banquets that were really difficult to refuse. It was not until 4 days later, when the weekend came, that they made time. On this day, the 4 people in the dormitory received an invitation to attend the dinner of Li Xiuming's family. The dinner was held in the luxurious restaurant of the Royal Holiday Manor Hotel. The dinner was very sumptuous, with hundreds of signature dishes from various planets, all carefully prepared by the best chefs in the Galactic Empire, making people salivate. After the dinner, Xia Xingchen and the other three went to the tea room in the hotel with Li Zenglang. They started chatting, while Li Qiru was pulled aside by her mother, to talk in a whisper. It was late at night, and Xia Xingchen and the others were arranged in a luxurious guest room in the hotel, and Li Zenglang and his wife began a secret conversation between husband and wife. How did you talk to Qiru, and what was her attitude? Li Zenglang asked. Although she didn't admit anything, she couldn't hide her admiration, appreciation, and even love for Xia Xingchen. Who cares, she said resentfully, just like me back then. Alas, a girl can't be kept when she grows up. Li Zenglang sighed. How is my son now, and how are his roommates? Li Qiru remembered to care about his son. He is much more mature now. Moreover, his understanding of mecha design is much deeper than before. He is still working on mecha design. Perhaps, this is the most suitable path for him. I don't want to force him, let him go and try it out. As for his roommates, they are not easy to deal with. Oh, tell me in detail. Qiru immediately became interested. Her husband has seen countless people. He said that people who are not simple must have their own strengths. First of all, let's talk about Hans Grandit. You should know his background from his surname. This kid's business acumen, sensitivity to business opportunities and business operation level are simply master level. The only thing he lacks now is a little experience, otherwise, he can now run a large interstellar enterprise consortium. Li Zenglang was also thinking, how could the Grandit family let such an outstanding young man out? It seems necessary to learn more about him in the future. Let's talk about Daren. This young man is so scary. He is very cunning and never lets slip a word. Moreover, his analysis of the current situation is very insightful. What kind of family can produce such a monster that you can give such an evaluation? Qiru asked. Are you stupid? His last name is Day, and with such performance, what else can I say? It must be the Day family that deals with intelligence. Only such an old fox can cultivate such a little fox. Li Zenglang teased. I know, you are smart. Keep talking. Qiru said coquettishly. That's it. What else is there to say? Go to sleep. Qiru's eyes glared, and a pair of slender fingers pinched the soft flesh on Li Zenglang's waist, and then lifted and twisted it. Are you pretending to be stupid with me? Are you being too tight again? Ah. Ouch. It hurts. Stop it, I'm saying. Li Zenglang's face turned pale because of the pinching, and he begged for mercy again and again. He was most afraid of this trick of his wife. Well, Xia Xingchen, this kid is very honest. He said that he won't talk about love before he avenges his comrades and his girlfriend. He has a lot of experience. I really don't know whether it is good or bad to let him continue with his daughter. Alas, children and grandchildren have their own blessings. Let her go. Qiru sighed. The annual Xia Xingchen Military Academy Mecha competition has begun. At this time of year, the two military academies will have a 2-week holiday, and almost all students will go to watch the competition. The first to start is the mecha maintenance competition, followed by the mecha design competition, and finally the mecha fighting competition. The mecha maintenance competition is held at the mecha maintenance practice base of the Imperial Military Command Academy. Each student can only participate once during school. The preliminaries are an extra mecha maintenance technician level test. This test is an exam opportunity outside the annual mecha maintenance technician level test, which can be regarded as a benefit for military academy students. Only students who have passed the senior mecha maintenance technician level test are eligible to participate in the finals. If students already have the qualification of senior maintenance technicians, they can directly enter the finals. But this situation was basically not the case in previous years, because most students majoring in mecha maintenance and design either chose to graduate or choose to take intermediate courses. After all, the tuition for mecha maintenance and design is not cheap. In this competition, Li Xiaomin and Li Qiru, brother and sister, spent 3 days, although they stumbled, but finally got the qualification of intermediate mecha repairman. This made Hans very happy. After all, the more middle and senior technicians there are in the shop, the more it can show the strength of the repair shop. In the end, 4 students stood out in the preliminaries, obtained the qualification of senior mecha repairman, and entered the finals with Xia Xingchen. But these people's good luck has come to an end. The finals were held in the largest maintenance training ground of the college. Each person occupied a mecha maintenance operating table, and the conveyor belt would continuously send 10 mechas to each person. The faults of these mechas were designed by the mecha experts of the Tang Dynasty group, which were very tricky and weird. 3 mechas were even intact during the instrument inspection, but there were some minor faults caused by design defects, and these designs had to be slightly modified during maintenance. Xia Xingchen repaired all the mechas in just 20 hours, and won the mecha repair competition. After winning the championship, he received a cash reward of 20 million star coins from Tang Dynasty Group. In addition, many companies, including Tang Dynasty Group, wanted to recruit him, but he declined them all. In an interview with Campus Skynet, he said that he had just entered the school this year and now just wanted to complete his studies first. What's more, he is now the technical director of the 1524 Mecha Club. This free advertisement made Hans Grandad very happy. Chapter 117 Pre-match preparation. More than 50,000 students submitted entries to the mecha design competition. As long as you are a junior student in school, no matter how many times you have participated in the competition or what grade you are in, you are eligible to participate, but each person can only submit one mecha design plan. However, 80% of these designs were eliminated in the first round of screening. These design materials will first be imported into the college's main control computer for screening. Those designs with obviously contradictory data, wild imagination, or even plagiarized designs will be picked out by the computer first and eliminated. The designs that pass the first round of screening will be screened for the second time by the large mecha simulation optical computer brought by Tang Dynasty Group this time. This optical computer of Tang Dynasty Group is very advanced. It is directly connected to the database of Tang Dynasty Group and will analyze the feasibility, rationality, applicability and other parameters of the design plan. If there are too many data problems, another batch will be eliminated, and only more than 500 mecha design plans will be left. At this time, 50 experts sent by Tang Dynasty Group and 450 teachers of mecha maintenance design major of Imperial Military Command College will form 50 expert groups to score the remaining more than 500 design plans. In the end, the mecha design schemes that scored in the top 20 will be awarded first prize, second prize and third prize, and different levels will have different rewards. In the end, a non-humanoid heavy firepower support armor designed by Li Xiaomin was awarded the second prize. Xia Xingchen's Dragon Rider mecha, Li Qiuru's Ice and Snow Goddess mecha, and a Surly Wolf mecha designed by a designer student from the north, won the first prize. The first prize winner is a prize of 20 million star coins and the opportunity to be recruited by major forces. Xia Xingchen also sold the mecha design patent to the Tang Dynasty Group for 1 billion star coins. Originally, this price could be sold higher, but Xia Xingchen applied for a license for the 1524 Mecha Club to produce a customized model of Dragon Rider. Li Qiuru's design naturally belongs to the Tang Dynasty Group. After the Qiuru series, they launched the Goddess series of high-end private customized mechas. The Goddess series was launched after Li Qiuru and Xia Xingchen studied for a period of time. It is a more mature series of products that combines mecha performance and appearance. The student from the north sold his design to Northern Heavy Industries, and he was recruited to join Northern Heavy Industries. So far, the mecha maintenance competition and mecha design competition have all ended. In the mecha design competition, the 3 designers of the 1524 Mecha Club won 2 first prizes and 1 second prize, which once again shocked the 2 schools. At this time, almost no one didn't know the reputation of their store. However, these 2 competitions are just the beginning, and the number of people paying attention is limited. Only students majoring in mecha maintenance and design focus on them. They want to learn some experience by watching such competitions. And more people are paying attention to the next finale, the mecha fighting competition. The game setting of the mecha fighting competition is very interesting. You must form a team of 3 to participate. Each group has a mecha technician, 2 maintenance technicians and a mecha. The mecha is not allowed to be replaced during the entire competition. All mecha maintenance must be completed by the mecha maintenance technicians in the group. If the mecha is damaged and cannot be repaired, or the mecha technician is injured and cannot fight, it will be judged to withdraw from the competition. This kind of competition setting is very close to actual combat because the technical support ability of mecha maintenance technicians is also part of combat effectiveness. On the other hand, it can also greatly limit the number of contestants. After all, this competition is actual combat, and too many contestants are a big trouble for the organizers. In the end, more than 4,000 groups of mecha technicians from the two schools signed up, and they will participate in the actual combat mecha competition. 1 game per day, single elimination. If you want to win the championship, each group must participate in more than 8 games. This is definitely a protracted war, that is, in the early stage of the competition, you can't make any mistakes to ensure that you will not be eliminated. Hundreds of giant military spacecraft transported thousands of mechas in mecha transport containers to the venue of this mecha fighting competition, the military fortress satellite Xianwei-13. After all, Xianyuan is a political center. If something goes wrong in the mecha fighting competition held here, the consequences will be very serious. Xianyuan originally had 12 satellites, which were used as industrial areas, commercial centers, military bases, food production bases, large-scale material distribution centers, etc. But Xianyuan has a large population and busy industry and commerce, and these satellites are not enough. So the Galactic Empire launched a star-making project. This project lasted for decades. They selected 3 asteroids of moderate size in the asteroid belt, used hundreds of thousands of large thrusters, and after several planetary gravitational accelerations, they finally pushed the 3 asteroids into the satellite orbit of Xianyuan, and built 3 fortress military satellites, Xianwei-13, Xianwei-14, and Xianwei-15, based on them. Among them, Xianwei-13 is the mecha training center of the troops stationed in the Xianyuan region. Xianwei-14 is the military's mecha weapon testing center, and Xianwei-15 is the examination center for the Xianyuan mecha division level examination. After more than 7 hours of flight, the cargo spacecraft finally landed at Xianwei-13. A large number of transport vehicles and engineering mechas were busy unloading the mecha transport containers from the spacecraft and transporting them to the competition venue. There are more than 200 mecha arenas covering an area of more than 10 square kilometers in the competition area. There are countless mecha hangars under the arena, and each mecha hangar has a mecha maintenance operation table and a mecha charging device. When Xia Xingchen and the other 2 registered, they got a number plate, which happened to be number 1524. They got off the cargo ship and followed the instructions on their personal terminals to take the shuttle bus to the designated hangar. At this time, the Dragon Rider warrior mech had been transported here. They opened the container, and Xia Xingchen placed the mech on the mech maintenance operating table, did a final inspection, and charged the mech, so that the mech was in the best condition at all times. Tomorrow, they will go to the arena to prove themselves. That night, Xia Xingchen received a communication request from Dayren. Xingchen, the gang in the north, has issued a kill order, and they will do whatever it takes to grab the championship. If they find a potential military mech division, they will kill them at all costs. My intelligence network intercepted their sky communication and learned all this. If the top few places in the competition are all taken by the north, we will be too passive. So Xingchen, you have to try your best to defeat them. If it is really impossible, your personal safety is the primary goal. Don't worry, I won't let Nicholas's conspiracy succeed. Chapter 118 Mecha Fighting Competition. The annual Xianyuan Military Academy Mecha Fighting Competition is a very important traditional event for the residents of the capital star region. They can see all kinds of new types of mechas competing with real guns and bullets, which is absolutely exciting. All major TV stations in the capital star region will broadcast live around the clock. In addition, Skynet in the capital star region will also broadcast online, and viewers can click on any venue to watch the players they support. Areas outside the capital star region can also see the highlights of the game. Whenever the game starts, some classrooms in the 2 military academies are full, and there will be special student groups to analyze the combat data and mecha performance. Of course, the most excited are the gamblers, who finally have a reason to make themselves rich overnight or go bankrupt. Hello, everyone. This is Xia Xingchen Entertainment Channel. I'm Jin Keek. Welcome to the 66th Xia Xingchen Military Academy Mecha Fighting Competition. This competition is exclusively sponsored by Tang Dynasty Group. The live broadcast of this competition is jointly sponsored by Tang Dynasty Group, Xia Xingchen Soy Milk, and Xia Xingchen Mineral Water. Commentator Jin Keek is in his early 60s. He is a famous commentator of Xia Xingchen Stars Mecha Fighting Competition, and specializes in mecha fighting competitions. He was originally a soldier and an A-level mecha master. Later, he accidentally fell into a trap set by star pirates during a battle. He was also attacked by several mental bombs, which caused his mental power to be severely damaged, and his mental power level dropped below level 20. He left the army in frustration. Because he is eloquent and has a good understanding of mechas and mecha fighting, he joined Xia Xingchen Entertainment Channel, the largest TV station in Xia Xingchen Star region, as a commentator. There are a total of 4,096 contestants participating in this competition, including 4 C-Class Mecha Masters and 462 D-Class Mecha Masters. Our broadcast this time will mainly select the competition between them. In addition, among the contestants, there are 1,860 teams from the Imperial Military Command Academy, and the rest are students from the Royal Military Academy. Of course, the large number of contestants does not mean that the Royal Military Academy is of high level, but they are richer, Jin Keek muttered. I don't know if he did it on purpose. He didn't turn off the microphone when he said this. Although the contestants' matchups are randomly generated by the computer, the organizers still noticed that those Mecha Masters who have passed the Mecha Master qualification certification were specially arranged to avoid them from colliding in the first few rounds. There were almost no upsets in the first 3 rounds, and the games were very lively. Xia Xingchen broke through 3 levels in a row, and only fired 1 or 2 shots in each game to blow up the head of the opponent's mecha and successfully advanced. After 3 elimination games, there were only 512 contestants left on the field. The 4th day of the competition began. Xia Xingchen sat in the cockpit of the Dragon Rider battleship, and the conveyor belt was sending the mecha to the competition venue. He had no idea who his opponent was, because before the final 128 players were decided, a new draw would be held after each elimination round. The principle of the draw was to avoid the encounter of Mecha Masters above level D in advance. The gate of the arena slowly opened, and when he saw the mecha opposite the arena, he actually laughed out loud. Hans, who was watching the live broadcast of the game on the big screen, also laughed. It turned out that the mecha opposite was a colorfully sprayed mecha, which was Xia Xingchen's Huahuatesu mecha. At this time, Xia Xingchen was sitting in the Huahuatesu mecha, like a bereaved mother. He knew that his opponent was too strong. His own mecha technology could only be said to be average, but relying on the powerful performance of the mecha to crush, he killed 3 opponents, and entered the 4th round. He had originally fantasized about entering the top 64 to play, so that his father would have some face, and avoid saying that he was fooling around all day. However, the terrible Dragon Rider mecha in front of him gave him a blow. Xia, Master Xia. The public communication channels of the Mechas are all open, and the Mecha Masters can talk freely. Of course, these conversations can also be heard by the audience on the TV and Skynet. Hey, Tangjin, it's you, but I'm sorry. I'm going to take this championship, Xia Xingchen said confidently. Well, then please hit it gently. If it breaks, I'll have to trouble you to repair it, Tangjin said helplessly. At this time, the audience watching the live broadcast in front of the TV almost went crazy after hearing their conversation. The reason for choosing this game is that the Huahuatesu mecha bullied its opponents with its performance in the previous few games, and it performed very coquettishly. And Xia Xingchen is a D-level mecha master. This should have been a battle of equal strength, but who knew that he would run into such a spineless guy? The audience's bad reviews filled the screen. Old Tangjin was watching the live broadcast with a few friends at this time. After hearing what his son said, he was almost angry and had a heart attack. How about this? Considering that you are an old customer of our 1524 club, I will let you fire 3 shots first, Xia Xingchen said. Little Tang Jin was immediately overjoyed. 3 shots in a mecha battle are very important. This is not just a matter of taking the initiative. For a mecha master, 3 shots can definitely determine the victory or defeat of a battle. The countdown sounded, and at the moment the green light came on, the Huahua Teisu mecha suddenly started its engine, and made several snake-like maneuvers, and then all the weapons on the body opened fire, and 7 or 8 lasers shot at the Dragon Rider War General mecha at the same time. Xia Xingchen controlled the mecha, and moved and dodged in the simplest way. Those lasers seemed to be afraid of him, and kept avoiding him. Dear audience, please look, this contestant Tang Jin's attack is very threatening. This is not a combat skill, but its power is no less than that of a combat skill. His mecha performance is too superior. He can fire weapons at such a high speed. He must have installed a target auxiliary aiming system. This thing is not cheap. But that contestant Xia Xingchen is definitely a master. Every dodging action of his is clean and smooth, and his operation has reached the extreme. Unfortunately, we still can't see how this Red Dragoon mecha will perform, because the opponent is too weak. The famous commentator Jin Keek talked freely. Xia Xingchen gave little Tang Jin more than 10 seconds to let him play to his heart's content, but he found that this guy was a hopeless case. He had only used a few tricks over and over again, and he had given him enough face. It was time to close a net. While dodging the attack, Xia Xingchen raised the mecha laser rifle and fired 2 consecutive shots. 2 purple lasers were fired one after another. The first laser hit the left knee joint of the Huahua Teisui mecha. There was a seam there, which was not covered by armor. After an explosion, the left leg of the Huahua Teisu mecha was broken into 2 parts. The broken-legged mecha lost its balance while running at high speed, and its head was exposed from behind the shield. Xia Xingchen fired the second shot cleanly, hitting the head of the Huahua Teisu mecha. All the sensors integrated there were broken, and the mecha screen suddenly went dark. Look, what a wonderful performance. Continuous accurate shooting at high speed. Not a single shot missed, and every move of the opponent was calculated clearly. Although this contestant Xia Xingchen is only a D-level mecha master, his level has reached the level of a C-level mecha master. If he takes the level test now, his chances of passing are very great. This is a contestant worthy of our attention. Jin Keek did not hesitate to praise him. We won. In the waiting room of the 1524 Mecha Club, Hans and the staff clapped their hands to celebrate. Xia Xingchen, you won't live for a few days. I will kill you with my own hands. Pan Keifu said with gritted teeth in a ice wolf match waiting for the game. Xia Xingchen, this is a strong opponent. It's getting more and more interesting. In a red match, the cold and beautiful Angelica said silently in her heart. Brother Xingchen, you are great. I didn't expect you to have grown to this point. Princess Crossing silently sent her blessings. Chapter 119 Mecha Fighting Competition. Entering the top 128, the players who qualified at this time were almost all C-level and D-level mecha masters. At this stage of the competition, the gap in strength caused by the difference in levels cannot be made up by the performance of the mecha. After all the games on this day are over, the remaining 128 players will conduct the last random draw of opponents. From this time on, the contestants will know who their future opponents will be before the game. The draw began. Xia Xingchen drew a player named Rauhani. Seeing the mecha he used, Xia Xingchen knew that this was a player from the north, because he was using the Ice Wolf mecha, which was the mecha Andre drove during the D-level mecha master level examination. Back at his residence, Dayren sent a communication application, and also sent Rauhani's information. Rauhani, 25 years old, second lieutenant. A native of Irkutsk in the Northern Administrative District, he belongs to the 3rd Squadron of the Northern Fleet, and is a D-level mecha master. Judging from the previous few games, this person has solid basic skills and a calm and cunning combat style. He is generally not in a hurry to launch an attack, but observes and looks for the opponent's flaws, to launch a fatal blow. Moreover, this person is a bit ruthless. After defeating his opponent, he always creates some accidents, such as the mecha accidentally falling on the opponent's cockpit, or forcing the opponent to accidentally hurt himself while blocking the attack. In the previous game, his opponent died, and 3 were seriously injured, but the organizers of the competition could not catch him, because those things were indeed too much like accidents. Xingchen, more than 40 officers from the Northern Administrative District have entered the top 128. Moreover, they all use the Ice Wolf mecha. It seems that this mecha has replaced the Ice Wolf as the main combat equipment in the north. This Rouhani has already reached the level of a SEAL level mecha master. You have to be careful. And I suspect that he has been saving his strength. Dayren said worriedly. Don't worry, there will not be any living wolves in front of me. Xia Xingchen's eyes burned with the flames of revenge. Dear audience friends, welcome to the 66th Xia Xingchen Military Academy Mecha Fighting Competition. Today, a 128-64 match will be held. I'm the host, Xingchen. What you are about to see is a civil war in the Imperial Military Command Academy. Rouhani, a sophomore student in the Campaign and Tactical Command Department, will fight against his junior brother Xia Xingchen. At this time, close-ups of 2 mechas appeared on the screen. They were being sent from the hangar to the center of the competition venue via a conveyor belt. We see that contestant Rouhani and his Ice Wolf are being sent to the center of the competition venue. Through this competition, we have witnessed the excellent performance of the Ice Wolf mecha, which has surpassed most mass-produced general-purpose mechas, and contestant Xia Xingchen, his mecha. Let me take a look at the information. Oh, Dragon Rider. This is a mecha equipped with a Dragoon system. How can I say the Dragoon system is a double-edged sword, with more disadvantages than advantages, and has been eliminated, but how will this newly designed Dragoon mecha perform? We hope that contestant Rouhani can force his opponent to show his true level. Having said that, Xingchen paused, he glanced at the monitor in front of him, and continued, okay, let's answer the questions from netizens now. The netizen named Masturbating Alone for 10,000 years asked, what is the key point for the two to win this game? This question is very profound. Let me answer it. Although Rouhani's Ice Wolf mech has a much better long-range attack capability than the Ice Wolf mech, it is still a melee mech with excellent melee capability. As for the Dragon Rider mech, as far as I know, all mechas equipped with the Dragon Rider system have very poor melee capabilities, or even no melee capabilities. Therefore, the main theme of this battle is the competition of distance. The Dragon Rider must find ways to distance himself and annihilate the opponent with firepower advantage, while the closer the Ice Wolf is, the greater the chance of winning. The gate of the arena slowly opened, and Rouhani looked at his opponent with a cruel smile on his face. He was thinking about how to kill Xia Xingchen in an accident. The countdown ended, the green light came on, and the two mechas started their engines at the same time. The two laser cannons behind the Ice Wolf fired frequently, and the Dragon Rider was constantly changing his position and firing back with a laser gun. The two exchanged fire for 3 or 4 minutes. It seems that both players are very patient and are unwilling to launch the attack first. It's a pity for Xia Xingchen. He should take this opportunity to launch a more fierce attack. It seems a bit conservative now. Rouhani was secretly happy. Since you don't want to attack, then let me do it. Thinking of this, his mecha made several snake-like maneuvers, and then suddenly exerted force. The engine was fully turned on, and the Ice Wolf pounced on the Dragon Rider. 6 red light claws stretched out from the forearm of the mecha. Xia Xingchen continued to shoot calmly, and the Ice Wolf dodged nimbly. The distance between the two was getting closer and closer. Suddenly, the Ice Wolf fully powered up, and the mecha jumped up, instantly creating a residual image, and the electric claws grabbed the Dragon Rider. Xia Xingchen raised his left-hand shield to block the 3 electric claws, but immediately afterwards, the 3 electric claws in the other hand of the Ice Wolf grabbed the cockpit of the Dragon Rider. Dragon Rider, it's over. Xingchen shouted. Chapter 120 Mecha Fighting Competition. Facing the attacking alloy claws, Xia Xingchen was not panicked at all. He raised the mecha laser rifle in the right hand of the mecha and handed it to the alloy claws stretched out by the opponent. It was just that the action was very fast and no one could see it clearly. Most people saw that the Dragon Rider was caught and exploded. But the next moment, the two mechas staggered and passed through the smoke of the explosion. The Dragon Rider was intact. A few seconds later, the Ice Wolf exploded violently and turned into a pile of parts. The entire cockpit of the wolf was torn into pieces, and Rugani was not even left with a complete body. Oh my god. Xia Xingchen turned the tables, and Rugani's machine exploded. Jin Keek almost bit his tongue, and the entire audience was in an uproar. Let's see what happened on the field captured by the high-speed camera. Look, Rugani is doing a snake-like maneuver to avoid long-range attacks, while quickly closing the distance. This is really a textbook operation. Look, he has reached the attack position, which is between the laser rifle and the shield, or theoretical blind spot for attack. Look, the Ice Wolf pounced on it. The instantaneous output power of this mecha is very amazing. Look again, the first claw was blocked by the shield. The Ice Wolf is very heavy, and with the impact force, ordinary mechas will be knocked over, but the Dragon Rider blocked its impact with the shield. This shows that the power of this mecha is excellent. Jin Keek continued, although the attack was blocked, the Ice Wolf used this move of using the force to fight the force very cleverly. Look, the other wolf claw grabbed the cockpit. The director continued to slow down. What did Xia Xingchen do? He raised the mecha laser rifle, and the Ice Wolf's claws hit the rifle's energy box, causing the rifle to explode. Look, Xia Xingchen moved. Director, please use technical means to remove the smoke. The Dragon Rider stretched out his right forearm, and oh my god, an electric sword popped out of it and inserted into the engine position of the opponent's mecha, causing a secondary explosion. All the audience were stunned. After a while, the whole screen was flooded with comments, and netizens cursed Jin Keek as a liar. Jin Keek touched his nose awkwardly. I take back what I said just now that the Dragon Rider mecha is not good at close combat. The designer of this mecha is simply a genius. Let me see if there is the name of the mecha designer in the official information. Oh, I have it. Here it is. The designer of the Dragon Rider mecha is Xia Xingchen, the technical director of the 1524 Mecha Club. Oh my god, this mecha master is the designer of the mecha himself. No wonder this mecha is so powerful. Only mecha masters know what mecha they want. All the audience were shocked when they heard it, and Jin Keek's commentary greatly improved the reputation of the 1524 Mecha Club. Some netizens here asked Xia Xingchen whether it was a foul that caused the death of Rugani. This is nonsense. Xia Xingchen attacked the engine compartment instead of the cockpit. However, the Ice Wolf did not have an engine explosion-proof device. This is really an irresponsible design for the mecha master. Jin Keek was very angry, but we still didn't see the true strength of the Dragoon. This mecha has good athletic ability and a certain close combat ability. It's a pity that the opponent is too weak and Xia Xingchen has retained his strength. It's a pity. The mecha was teleported back to the hangar. Li Xiaomin and his sister were busy checking the mecha, charging it, and replenishing it with a new mecha laser rifle and light energy electric sword. Rifles and electric swords are consumables, and are allowed to be replenished and replaced. A few hours later, the top 64 were all produced. Xia Xingchen found that his next opponent was a guy named Lo, who was a C-level mecha master. In the evening, roommates sent video call requests one after another. Xingchen, you are awesome. Our reputation has been completely established. The business in the store has been very good these days. I just spent 800 million star coins to acquire the 2 stores on the right side of our store. I want to take this opportunity to expand the store size 4 to 5 times. However, Xingchen, many customers now say that they want to see the true strength of the Dragon Riders. We have already received orders for 7 mechas. Hans was very excited on the other end of the video. Hans, tell them that good things are never too late, and there are surprises to come. Xia Xingchen said. Colonel Bercy and the old man Qin Ren told him that, whether as a mecha master or a warrior, he should prepare more trump cards, and not reveal all the trump cards at once. At the critical moment, these trump cards can turn defeat into victory or even save lives. The opponents behind will become stronger and stronger, and Xia Xingchen does not want to expose his strength so early. At this time, Dai Ren also connected to the video communication and sent the information of Xia Xingchen's opponent tomorrow. Lo. Xingchen, good job. According to the latest news I have received, Rugani is the second in command lurking in our school by the north, and also the #1 think tank. His death has a great impact on the North's plan. However, you have become a thorn in their side now. so you must be careful and even be on guard against your opponent's tricks. Daren gave advice. Thank you, I see, Xia Xingchen nodded. There is another thing about your opponent tomorrow, Luo. He has been a C-class mecha master for several years and is known as the best mecha master among the junior students of the two military academies. According to his level, he should have become an intermediate student long ago. It is said that he stayed in the junior students in order to pursue the Moon Princess Qinfei, who was studying at the Royal Military Academy. You must be careful. Xia Xingchen frowned as he looked at the information in front of him. Luo's grandfather Luo Tong is one of the 4 Royal Knights of the Galactic Empire. These 4 knights are 4 S-class mecha masters, and they have a respected status in the empire. S-class mecha masters are strategic deterrent forces anywhere in the universe. Even if you have a powerful fleet, an S-class mecha master can drive a mecha into the crowd of thousands of troops and kill the leader of the opponent. The Luo family is a martial arts family, and they have been following the Qin family since the Earth era thousands of years ago. Although this knight Luo Tong has superior personal martial arts, his family is not prosperous, and his son and grandson are all single line. Luo Tong's father was weak and sick since childhood, and he failed to inherit the mantle of Grandpa Luo Tong and become a mecha master, so he placed all his hopes on Luo. Luo is not bad in talent. Under the careful teaching of his grandfather, he mobilized a lot of resources and became a C-level mecha master at the age of 21. Emperor Qinzheng of the Galactic Empire has 2 daughters. The eldest daughter, Princess Qinfei, is 20 years old this year, and the youngest daughter, Princess Crossing Qinjana, is 17 years old. Later, Luo accidentally met Princess Yu again and was shocked by her beauty. From then on, he regarded himself as the princess's guardian knight everywhere. Luo is handsome, has a good family background, and has good personal strength. Therefore, he is sought after by girls in the Imperial Military Academy. He has also done a lot of harm in private, but on the surface, he pretends to be a gentleman. He wants to win the championship in this competition and boldly confess to Princess Yu. As for his opponent, he really didn't take him seriously. Chapter 121 Mecha Fighting Competition. Hello, dear audience friends. This is the 66th Xia Xingchen Military Academy Mecha Fighting Competition. I'm Jin Keek. The match you are watching today is a highlight of the 64-32 rounds, with Luo, known as the top player of the Royal Military Academy, fighting against Xia Xingchen, the most mysterious player so far. Luo is a C-class mecha master. He has advanced smoothly all the way, and no opponent can survive 3 rounds. And Xia Xingchen's strength should have reached the level of a C-class mecha master, plus his mysterious mecha. Audience friends, are you looking forward to it? At this time, in a luxurious double student dormitory of the Royal Military Academy, Princess Star Qinfei and Princess Moon Qinjana were sitting in the living room watching the live broadcast. At this time, 2 mechas on the big screen were being sent to the center of the competition venue through a conveyor belt. Sister, I heard that your guardian knight will appear in this game. Qinjana blinked and said jokingly. I didn't admit it. It was that self-indulgent guy who named himself. Qinfei replied, her eyes full of helplessness. Luo spread everywhere that he liked Princess Moon. Qinfei also knew that a girl born in a royal family had no choice about her marriage. If Luo Tong proposed to the emperor personally, the emperor would have no reason to refuse. After all, winning over an S-class mecha master is much more important than a princess' personal happiness. Then I hope Xia Xingchen can give him a little hardship and hit his arrogance. See if he still has the face to pursue his sister, Qinjana said. I hope so. Princess Yu's eyes revealed a glimmer of hope. Xia Xingchen, are you willing to be my guardian knight? Qinjana said silently in her heart. The gates on both sides of the arena opened. Xia Xingchen looked at the white mecha in front of him, and the information of the mecha he saw last night emerged in his mind. Lightning Knight Mecha, height 5.2 meters. Parameters, strength 20, agility 25, armor 25, speed 30. The speed of this mecha is the fastest mecha Xia Xingchen has ever seen. And the weapons and equipment of this Lightning Knight that are currently known include an alloy shield, a light knight gun, and 2 alloy horns on the shoulders of the mecha. In addition, Xia Xingchen analyzed the appearance of the opponent's mecha and concluded that the feet of the mecha were likely to be equipped with retractable light blades. In addition, the mecha's shoulders and back armor were likely to contain other weapons. However, Lo was too strong. In the previous few games, he was only seen using the night gun and defeated his opponent within 3 moves. Boy, I'll give you a chance to surrender automatically. You should know that I'm a C-level mecha master, and your mecha advantage can't make up for the technical gap between us. Besides, your mecha is just a decoration, Lo said arrogantly in the public channel. No more talk, Xia Xingchen answered with these 4 words, and then closed the communication. It seems that this player Lo is very confident. Let's see how he performs. Now the game begins. Jinchek shouted. Lo stepped on the power pedal and the engine was fully turned on. There are 6 medium-sized white light thrusters behind the lightning knight, plus the body of ultralight materials. Speed is his magic weapon for winning. He often rushes to the front before the opponent is ready. And facing such a high-speed mecha, it is impossible to lock the opponent by long-range attack. Luo Wen's every move was within Xia Xingchen's insight. When he saw his opponent rushing over, he threw the laser rifle in his right hand as a hidden weapon. Luo Wen's charge was delayed for a moment by the thrown rifle. When he determined that the attacking object did not pose any threat, he raised his night gun and continued to rush forward. The light energy blade on the night gun cut through the laser rifle, causing another explosion, and his mecha speed did not slow down at all, and the night gun continued to stab the dragon rider. After Xia Xingchen threw out the laser gun, he stepped on the power pedal hard, and all the thrusters behind the dragon rider were fully opened. With a flash of white light, the dragon rider soared into the air, avoiding the opponent's inevitable attack. At the same time, a light energy sword appeared in the dragon rider's right hand. Look, Luo Wen has accelerated, and it's another thunder strike. Oh my god, what is this? Xia Xingchen threw the gun again. It seems that he likes to use the laser rifle as a scapegoat. Oh, it's flying. The dragon rider is flying. So fast. Jinkeek shouted. Seeing this scene, people on the other side of the screen who had already paid the deposit for the mecha drooled. Luo Wen's mecha missed the first shot, and he quickly adjusted his posture and turned around, preparing for a second attack. Suddenly, he felt the danger coming, and he instinctively controlled the radar to roll sideways, avoiding 2 lasers. At this time, 2 more lasers came, and he couldn't dodge in time, so he could only raise his shield to block. The mecha was pushed back several meters by the recoil, and almost lost its balance. At this time, 2 more lasers came. Luo Wen was sweating coldly at this time. He tried his best, and the mecha kept dodging at high speed, diving, and serpentine maneuvers, and finally got rid of Xia Xingchen's continuous shooting. It turned out that Xia Xingchen took advantage of the relatively small turning radius of his mecha to quickly complete the turn, and used the 2 twin laser cannons on the shoulders of the mecha to alternately shoot, making Luo Wen flustered. Xia Xingchen played this move beautifully. The Dragoon mecha has more thrusters and a smaller turning radius, so Xia Xingchen took advantage of his turning speed and instantly took the initiative. Moreover, his laser cannon fired alternately, and each shot was very accurate. When he fired the first shot, he had already prepared 3 or 4 steps in advance. If it weren't for Lo's Lightning Knight mecha's incredible performance and his rich experience, he might have died by now. Lo adjusted the mecha's posture again, and faced the Dragoon warrior. Now, he has completely put away his contempt, and is ready to use all his strength. Lo gathered all his energy, and the mecha attacked the opponent again and again. Xia Xingchen calmly parried, and occasionally used the shoulder laser cannon to fight back. Jinkeek continued to explain, from the previous few days' games, we can see that, even if Lo's opponent can block his first attack, he can't escape from his continuous attack skills. But now after Lo attacks his opponent once, he must make high-speed maneuvers to avoid the opponent's shoulder laser shooting. This Xia Xingchen is very accurate and hits the vital points every time, forcing the opponent to dodge, and unable to perform combo skills. However, it can be felt that with the level of Xia Xingchen's current performance, even if the opponent uses combo skills, he can't do anything to him. Chapter 122 Mecha Fighting Competition. The 2 fought back and forth for more than 20 minutes. The audience was very excited, and the students from the northern administrative region who were watching the game had very solemn expressions. They could not easily deal with any of the two people fighting on the stage. In this 20-minute high-intensity confrontation, the two fought with some courage, without a single unnecessary move, and the performance of their mechas was even more powerful. At this time, in the base of the Royal Knights, a group of people sat in front of the big screen, and one of them, an old man in his 60s, sighed. This person was Lo's grandfather, Knight Rothan. "We might lose," he commented. "This kid has never experienced adversity, and opponents of the same level pose no threat to him, and you bastards always let him go during training. Don't think I can't see it. It's better to let him suffer a little this time, so that he won't be arrogant in the future." The old man, who looks like a middle-aged man, has a helpless expression. Luo became more and more anxious as the fight went on. He thought of Princess Crossing, his grandfather Luo Tong, his classmates at the Royal Military Academy, and the elders in the Royal Guard. They were all watching this game. If he lost this game, everything he had been pursuing all these years, a bright future, the beautiful Princess Yu, and the position of the #1 in the Royal Military Academy, would all be gone. Thinking of this, he gritted his teeth, and planned to use his secret weapon. At this time, the two mechas crossed each other again. Lo activated the weapon device, and the armor on the shoulder of the Lightning Knight mecha exploded instantly, and 6 half-meter long devices popped out from it. These devices were as fast as lightning, and quickly shot towards the Dragon Rider. There was an alloy cable connecting every two devices. The Dragon Rider was quickly trapped by the 3 cables. Then the cables began to release a strong current. This is actually the S-level mecha weapon binding rope, the magic weapon of the Imperial Knight Luo Tong. I didn't expect that the old man would give this weapon to his grandson, and I didn't expect that we could see the legendary S-level weapon in such a competition. Jinkeek shouted excitedly. In this era, when mechas are the most important combat force on the battlefield, mecha weapons are also divided into levels, mainly divided into 5 levels, S, A, B, C, and D. For example, the laser rifles and light energy blades equipped on Xia Xingchen's mechas are all C-level weapons, while shotguns and alloy swords are D-level weapons. Moreover, there are many mecha weapon designers in this era. They do not design mechas, but specialize in designing and manufacturing weapons used by mechas. Many of them are even more popular than those famous mecha design masters. After all, even if your mecha is of average grade, as long as you are equipped with an excellent mecha weapon, your combat effectiveness will be doubled. The S-class mecha weapon used by Lo is called Binding Immortal Rope. It is the work of the late genius mecha weapon design master Didi. The principle of this weapon is not complicated. When the mecha is close, 6 magnetic devices are suddenly launched, and there is an alloy cable between every 2 magnetic devices. When the magnetic device approaches the opponent's mecha, it will quickly close together and tighten the alloy cable. Then the magnetic device will release a large amount of high voltage electricity, which will pass through the mecha shell, causing the mecha battery to short circuit, causing the engine and computer to burn out, thereby paralyzing the mecha. Although this weapon looks simple, it is very difficult to make. The biggest difficulty is the material. In order to ensure that the alloy cable binds the mecha, the cable needs to have extremely high strength, and the magnetic device must store a lot of energy to release the current that instantly paralyzes the mecha. Dr. Didi spent a lot of money to make this set of Binding Immortal Rope, but helplessly found that he could no longer gather enough materials to make another set. Later, this binding rope device was obtained by Knight Luo Tong. With it, Knight Luo Tong escaped from life-threatening situations many times and killed many powerful enemies. Later, he gave this weapon to his grandson Luo Wei. Originally, he wanted him to use it to save his life, but Luo Wei, who was so angry about losing, used this weapon in the game. The red alarm sounded in the cockpit of the Dragon Rider. The power of the mecha engine soared and was about to exceed the upper limit. The hands and feet of the mecha were tied up and could not move. Xia Xingchen was quick-witted and concentrated all his mental power on the surface of the mecha to resist the invasion of electric current. The engine power finally stopped rising and slowly stabilized at about 90%, but the mental power was being consumed at a rapid rate. At this time, the Lightning Knight had adjusted his posture, holding the Mecha Knight gun horizontally, and aimed at the Dragon Rider. Luo Wei let out a long sigh. You die. At this moment, Xia Xingchen's brain entered a clear state, and the crystal pyramid in his mind began to rotate at high speed. He pressed a button on the console, and the Dragoon system started instantly. Although 2 floating guns were trapped on the body and could not move, the other 4 floating guns flew out from 4 different directions, with the muzzles aimed at the Lightning Knight. At this time, Lo only had eyes for the cockpit of the Dragoon General. He decided that he would rather be severely punished by the school discipline than to kill the boy who almost ruined his future. What's more, with his grandfather's intercession, the organizers of the competition could not do anything to him. He did not pay attention to the floating gun that left the mother body of the mecha. 4 green lasers swept past, and the cockpit and thrusters of the Lightning Knight mecha were hit by the lasers. The screen in front of Lo went black instantly, and the mecha, that was only more than 10 meters away from the Dragon Rider, fell from more than 20 meters in the air. At this time, the 4 floating guns continued to adjust the angle, and 2 more rounds of volleys hit the magnetic device tied to Xia Xingchen's mecha. After a few loud noises, the magnetic device was smashed to pieces, and 3 alloy cables fell to the ground. The Dragon Rider finally broke free from the restraints, and hovered in the air. The 4 floating guns fell back on the gun mount, after completing their mission. Win. Xia Xingchen actually survived the S-level mecha weapons, and turned defeat into victory. Look, this is the Dragon Rider, the powerful Dragon Rider. It can be said that this game is the most exciting game since the start of this mecha fighting competition. The commentator Jin Shek's voice was a little hoarse. Win. The staff of the 1524 Mecha Club were in tears. Just a dozen seconds ago, they thought Xia Xingchen was dead. We won. That's great. In the palace, the 2 princesses hugged each other happily. Sister, your big trouble is solved temporarily. Kinjana winked at her sister mischievously. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123 Mecha Fighting Competition. 32 have finally been decided. Xia Xingchen's next opponent is still a mecha master from the Northern Administrative District. He also drives the Ice Wolf mecha. His level is very high, but he is still weaker than Rauhani. In the last round, this mecha master met an opponent from the Northern Administrative District. In order to reduce internal friction, his opponent voluntarily gave up and admitted defeat. The students from the Northern Administrative District have reached a consensus. If they encounter each other, the weaker party will take the initiative to admit defeat and withdraw from the competition. If the level of both parties is similar, the current top leader Angelica will designate the person who advances. After the game with Lo, Xia Xingchen carefully checked the mecha and found that the mecha was seriously damaged. The strong current caused great damage to the mecha engine, battery and the control computer of the mecha. Especially the battery. It is now impossible to recharge it. It must be dismantled. All the energy inside must be discharged. A large circuit board must be replaced and then recharged. This recharging must be continuously charged for 20 hours, which means that this set of batteries can no longer be used in tomorrow's game. Helpless, Xia Xingchen could only use a set of ordinary batteries instead, which reduce the endurance of the entire mecha by more than 2/3. Xia Xingchen replaced the mecha control computer with a brand new one, and rewrote the operating system. The damage to the mecha engine was also repaired with the help of Li Xiaomin and his sister. It was already midnight. In a luxurious manner on Chanyuan Star, Luo Wei, with a bandage on his head, was holding a bottle of strong liquor in his hand, and sitting in the yard, his eyes staring straight ahead. It's over. Everything is over. Farewell, my princess. He kept muttering. A noisy sound of footsteps broke the tranquility of the late night, and several people walked in from the gate, led by Luo Tong, one of the Imperial Royal Guard Knights. He looked at Luo Wei in front of him, and was furious, raising his hand. Pa. Clatter. LUO when he was stunned by a dozen consecutive slaps, and his originally handsome face quickly swelled up, and the corners of his mouth began to bleed. He could no longer hold the bottle in his hand, and it fell to the ground and shattered. Do you know why I hit you? Knight Luo Tong's face was ferocious, as if he wanted to bite him to death. I lost the game, Lo said. Pa. He was slapped again. No, say it again. Luo Tong roared. I shouldn't have used the binding rope casually during the game. Pa. Another big slap. This slap was particularly heavy. Lo was knocked to the ground by a slap, and blood came out of his left ear. You beast, you don't even know what you did wrong. It seems that I was wrong. I have done a sin and spoiled you. Knight Luo Tong was heartbroken. I hit you, first of all, because you are a coward who doesn't even have the courage to face failure. Look at you now, like a stray dog. You just lost a game. Which S-class mecha master didn't grow up silently after countless failures, sleeping on straw and tasting gall? You are devastated by such a small setback. Aren't you a waste? Lo stood there, covering his swollen face with his hands, silent. The second reason why I beat you is because you are too arrogant and look down on everyone. Look at what you did in school. You are the top student in the Royal Military Academy and the guardian knight of Princess Yu. Take a piss and look at yourself. You are not worthy of the princess at all. Without the protection of your family, you are a piece of shit. The third reason why I beat you is because you have lost your sense of awe. You used S-class weapons in the competition without considering the impact and consequences. You aimed at other people's cockpits when you attacked, without considering the harm to others and the rules of the competition. Do you think you can be fearless with me backing you up? I have seen many people like this without any awe, and without exception, they are all dead now. The fourth reason why I beat you is because you have forgotten your responsibility. Our Luo family has been loyal to the Qin family and the Galaxy Empire for generations. Whenever the Empire and the royal family are in danger, our Luo family will be the first to rush to the front line. Now the Empire and the North will have a war, but you don't think about how to share the worries of the country, but you are busy picking up girls all day long. You are already 23 years old. Have you done anything useful for this country? Do you know that the young man you fought with joined the Imperial Army at the age of 15 and had great military exploits? Compared with him, what are you now? Luo Tong was extremely angry. He punched a bowl-sized tree next to him, and the tree broke in the middle. Luo Tong's words were like a revelation, which completely awakened Luo Wei. He recalled that he had been useless for more than 20 years, just as Luo Tong said. If it weren't for today's failure and the beating from his grandfather, he might die of self-expansion soon, and even bring disaster to his family. Thinking of this, he knelt on the ground and kowtowed to his grandfather several times, then crawled to Knight Luo Tong on his knees and cried, "Grandpa, I was wrong. I don't want to go on like this. Please help me and tell me what to do." Alas, Knight Luo Tong sighed. It is easy to change the country, but difficult to change one's nature. If you want to change, there is only one way. From now on, you leave the family, leave Xia Neo and Star, go to the front line, go to the battlefield, and rely on your own efforts to redeem yourself. From today on, you can't use your original name and identity, nor can you get any help from your family. Only in this way can you guide yourself to the right path. Otherwise, after a long time, Lo gritted his teeth and kowtowed to his grandfather 3 times, and blood oozed from the bandage on his head. "Grandpa, I've decided. I want to leave the family and change myself. Grandpa, your grandson is unfilial. Please take care of yourself." Knight Luo Tong turned around, tears streaming down his face. He waved his hand. Go. Chapter 124 Mecha Fighting Competition. At 9 o'clock the next morning, the 32-16 match of the Xia Xingchen Military Academy match fighting competition started on time. Since the battery pack had just been repaired and was in the process of maintenance, Xia Xingchen, who was using a spare battery pack, planned to make a quick decision. Today he was not equipped with a shield, but took 2 mech laser rifles. When the game started, the mech engine of the opposite ice wolf roared and rushed up. Xia Xingchen's mech moved quickly, and the mech laser rifles in both hands and the double laser cannons on the shoulders fired frequently, making the ice wolf exhausted. Finally, it was hit in the hind legs during a jump to avoid it, and then it was hit several times in succession, especially the position of the mech engine and the abdomen. 3 lasers hit the same position, dissolving the mech armor there, causing the engine to explode, and the mech master died on the spot. Oh, dear audience, we have seen 2 ice wolves being hit in the engine compartment and exploded in the past few days. With such a big hidden danger, I really don't know what Northern Heavy Industries thinks. Didn't they consider the engine explosion-proof device? Jin Keek was very dissatisfied with this design flaw of the Ice Wolf mecha. In fact, Northern Heavy Industries was also helpless about this. After all, the Ice Wolf is a mimicry type mecha, and it is mainly for close combat. The engine design must consider multiple factors such as power output and the center of gravity of the mecha. There is really no extra volume to install an engine explosion-proof device on the engine. And Prince Nicholas also said that the warriors of the Northern Administrative District are not afraid of sacrifice. Since they are not afraid of death, it doesn't matter whether there is an engine explosion-proof device or not. After all, it is the Northern Army that is equipped with this mecha. Xia Xingchen entered the top 16 cleanly, and the next opponent is an old acquaintance, Lieutenant Pandev. It is worth mentioning that Pandev was driving a beast-type mecha Flying Wolf in this competition. This mecha is the one that won the first prize of this mecha design competition together with Xia Xingchen's Dragon Rider mecha. This competition will be a full-scale showdown between 2 brand new mechas. The battery pack of the Dragon Rider mecha was finally maintained. Xia Xingchen was busy until midnight, replaced the battery pack, and checked it carefully. Finally, he confirmed that there was no problem, and then he went back to rest with satisfaction. At this time, Pan Keifu's heart was intertwined with many complex emotions, making him unable to sleep. Because of the strong strength shown by Xia Xingchen in the competition, and he killed 2 mecha divisions in the Northern Administrative District, his photo and name were sent back to the north. It happened that Andre was fully responsible for the training of young elite mecha divisions in the Northern Fleet. He saw Xia Xingchen's photo and smashed the screen in front of him with a punch. Then, he issued a must-kill order to the mecha divisions in the military academy, strictly ordering them to kill Xia Xingchen in the competition. Of course, after repeated weighing, he made a rational decision. Tell his men that this is the person who defeated him in the mecha division level assessment. Pan Keifu was shocked by the news. He was also defeated by Xia Xingchen. Although he thought that Xia Xingchen could not defeat him in mecha, he was eager to kill Xia Xingchen to wash away the shame of being defeated. But Andre's news forced him to re-examine this opponent. Now, there was even a trace of fear in his heart. There was no words for the whole night. A new day began, and the mecha fighting competition finally entered the most exciting final stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the Xia Xingchen Military Academy mecha fighting competition is about to come to an end. The top 16 will start today. The mecha masters who have come to this step have experienced nearly 10 battles. Of course, luck is absolutely not enough to go this far. Strength mecha performance, logistics support level, mecha masters willpower and other factors are indispensable. The 2 mecha masters participating today are freshmen of the Imperial Military Command Academy this year, Xia Xingchen and Pan Keifu. Although they are both D-level mecha masters, I can say here responsibly that they have reached, or even exceeded the level of ordinary C-level mecha masters. Another highlight of today's game is the mechas of the 2. Xia Xingchen's mysterious and powerful Dragoon system mecha Dragon Rider and Pan Zifu's extremely sharp and fast beast type mecha Flying Wolf. These 2 not so traditional and mainstream mechas are the first prize winners of the Xia Xingchen Military Academy mecha design competition that just ended not long ago. Today, they will compete here. This is simply a fateful duel. Now, both sides have appeared. Jin Keek, the commentator, seemed very excited today. The Flying Wolf mecha was in the conveyor belt, and Pan Zifu's body trembled with excitement. Now his heart was burning with rage. He wanted to vent all this anger on his opponent. It turned out that early this morning, Pan Zifu mustered up the courage to confess to Angelica. He has been secretly in love with Angelica for a long time, and he had fallen in love with her before he came to school. Angelica, come and be my girlfriend. I'm one of the best mecha divisions in the Northern Fleet, and my family is very powerful. I will bring you happiness. Pansev said eagerly. You I can only tell you that you are not worthy. I'm destined to marry the most powerful man in the north and become his woman. You are far from it. Angelica's words were full of cold sarcasm. Pantsev was furious. Is it Andrei? Andrei, that waste again. Look carefully. This guy in front of you is the one who defeated Andrei. I want you to see with your own eyes how I tear him apart. I want you to see how powerful I am. What does Andrei have to do with it? He is a waste like you. Don't be so self-indulgent. The man I love in my heart is His Majesty Nicholas, and I want to be his princess. You bunch of waste are nothing, Angelica said, and turned and left. Only Pantsev, who was already shocked, was left. He was filled with bitterness. Indeed, in front of Lord Nicholas, neither he nor Andrei had any reason to refute being called a waste. The gap between them was indeed too big. Then, he transformed this pain into anger. Regarding Pantsev and the Flying Wolf mech, Xia Xingchen and Aren's intelligence team has been paying close attention. Flying Wolf mech, height 3.2 meters, parameters, strength 21, agility 28, armor 26, speed 28. Weapons and equipment. The wolf mouth on the head of the Flying Wolf mech is equipped with a heavy laser cannon, and its shoulders and back each have 2 quadruple medium laser cannons. There are also 2 small twin rapid-fire laser cannons on each of the 2 hind legs. In addition, 2 pairs of foldable variable angle alloy wings, 1 large and 1 small, are installed on the back of the mech, which can be used as light energy swords. In addition, the front paws of the mech each have 2 retractable light energy blades. This is a mecha that is excellent in both close combat and long-range attacks. Although the armor is not very thick and there is no special shield, it is definitely a killer in the hands of those high-level mecha masters. The countdown began, and when the green light came on, the 2 mechas soared into the sky. Chapter 125, Mecha Fighting Competition. From the scene, the 2 mechas are evenly matched. The Dragon Rider hovered at low altitude, and the laser cannons on the shoulders of the 2 mechas and the 2 mecha laser rifles in his hands fired continuously, while the Flying Wolf mainly jumped continuously on the ground. Each time it jumped in a different direction, it was difficult for the opponent to judge. The 4 groups of 8 laser cannons on the shoulders and back of the Flying Wolf intertwined a dense firepower network in the air. Now the field is evenly matched. The firepower output of the 2 mechas is very fierce. Now the 2 mecha masters are concentrating. If anyone loses focus now, it will be a sure death. However, the controllability and speed of these 2 mechas are really amazing, especially the Dragon Rider. Its flexibility is too inconsistent with its appearance. Jinkeek said eloquently. Let's answer a question from a netizen. This netizen named Jerking Off Until His Skin Broke asked Xia Xingchen why he didn't use the Dragoon system. This question is very profound. Let me answer it. From the battle scene, although the firepower output of the 2 mechas is similar, the firepower output control of their 2 mechas is different. Xia Xingchen's shooting is completely controlled by the mecha master himself. You can see that many of his laser firepower is not aimed at the location of the opponent's mecha, but there are many predictions to block the opponent's dodge angle. Pankeifu uses a shooting aiming assistance system. His firepower output is very fast, with many volleys, and most of them are aimed at the place where the opponent's mecha has just been. I just said that Xia Xingchen uses manual aiming. He has to control 4 sets of weapons at the same time, and he also has to control the mecha to avoid the opponent's laser attack. How can he have the energy to control the Dragoon system? And if the computer is used to control the Dragoon, judging from the performance of the Flying Wolf mecha, it is simply a waste of energy. By the way, I would like to remind this netizen to pay attention to his health and masturbate in moderation. The audience in front of the TV laughed. The battle lasted for 7 or 8 minutes, and the energy of both mechas was nearly half consumed. After all, they were dodging at full speed, and the continuous heavy firepower output made the high-speed cameras in the venue unable to keep up with the speed of the mechas. Many viewers felt dizzy and vomited in front of such dazzling and high-speed switching shots. Pankeifu was a little overwhelmed at this time, both mentally and physically. At this time, the remaining energy on the mecha screen showed that there was still 45% of energy. If the stalemate continued, he would definitely suffer. The size of the Flying Wolf determined that its energy reserves were not much. Thinking of this, Pancake Fu changed his strategy. The light energy blades on the edges of the wings lit up, and the thrusters were fully opened. Under the cover of laser artillery fire, the flying wolf rushed towards the dragon rider. At this time, Xia Xingchen's 2 mecha laser rifles had run out of energy. He threw away the rifles, stretched out 2 light energy swords from his forearms, and also went to the flying wolf. The 2 mechas were fighting in close combat. But soon, Xia Xingchen discovered the abnormality in front of him through the inside skill. The flying wolf was clinging to him tightly and trying to restrict the movement of the 2 mechas to a very small range. At the same time, the flying wolf mecha seemed to be constantly emitting a kind of high energy particles with unknown functions. He secretly strengthened his vigilance. It turned out that this was a brand new mecha weapon designed by Karik, the designer of the flying wolf mecha. He named the weapon Fatal Mirror System. Scientists recently discovered a new mineral in the universe. This mineral can release special charged particles under the impact of energy pulses of a specific frequency. This charged particle can interfere with the detection device of the mecha. The magical thing is that the mecha uses a beam of light with a special wavelength to excite this particle, which will form a mirror image of the mecha in place. And this mirror image can hide from various detection devices. In the eyes of the mecha's detection device, this is a real mecha, and using another band to irradiate this high energy particle will make the mecha surrounded by the particle gain the effect of stealth, and various detectors cannot detect it. Karik has been in the mecha maintenance and design department of the Imperial Military Command Academy for more than 4 years. His father is a famous mecha designer of Northern Heavy Industries. He spent several years here designing the Flying Wolf mecha and related weapon systems, hoping that one day he would be favored by Northern Heavy Industries so that he could become a famous mecha designer like his father. Now, his goal has been achieved. However, this fatal mirror system is a killer he prepared for the Flying Wolf, and it did not appear on the design drawings of the mecha design competition. From the perspective of weapon rating, this weapon can reach the rating of Class B weapons. Flying Wolf is constantly and fearlessly attacking the Dragon Rider at high speed, and Xia Xingchen has been trying to resist. The 2 mechas staggered again, and Xia Xingchen turned around and prepared to face the opponent's attack again. At this time, the audience on the screen opened their mouths wide. It turned out that 2 Flying Wolf mechas appeared on the screen, one in front and one behind to attack Xia Xingchen. This is the deception effect caused by special particles on the camera. The mecha directly in front of the Dragon Rider is just a projection, and the one behind him is the real mecha. The Flying Wolf mecha opened its wolf mouth, and the muzzle of the black heavy laser cannon began to charge. At this time, the thrusters behind the Dragon Rider mecha were fully opened, emitting dazzling light. It seemed that he was going to charge at the phantom in front. However, no one noticed that at the moment when the Dragon Rider thrusters ejected flames, the floating gun mount that was originally on the same plane as the flywheel suddenly bounced up and became perpendicular to the flywheel. The 8 floating guns on it pointed directly at the Flying Wolf behind him. The heavy laser cannon was fully charged, and Pantsev pressed the launch button, but at this moment, he found that 8 dazzling green lights lit up behind the opposite mecha. This was the last scene he saw in his life. The 8 floating guns fired at the same time, 2 of which hit one of the front legs, 2 hit the head of the Flying Wolf mecha, and the remaining 4 hit its back. The heavy laser cannon, that had just been charged, was triggered to explode, and a violent explosion caused the front half of the Flying Wolf mecha to disappear. The mirror image of the Flying Wolf mech in front of the Dragon Rider mech disappeared after flashing a few times. We saw 2 Flying Wolf mechas on the field. This must be some new type of mirage system. But I guess the one behind is real. Look, his gun is charging. Xia Xingchen should speed up and rush to the mirror image in front. He is in danger. Oh my god, what did I see? The Dragoon system fired backwards, and the Flying Wolf mech exploded. The mirror image also disappeared. The winner of this game is Xia Xingchen. Jinki raised his voice. This is impossible. I have done hundreds of tests. No, he can't be seen through. In a guest room of a luxury hotel on Shianyuan Star, Karik, the designer of the Sirius mech, overturned a table. He was waiting here for the Northern Administrative District to send a luxury spaceship to pick him up. to take office at Northern Heavy Industry, but his most proud work turned into a piece of scrap metal. Humph, waste is always waste. Angelica snorted coldly and turned away. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.